Good morning and welcome to the second day of action here at the 2020 BUCS Indoor Athletics Championships. It's the English Institute of Sport here in Sheffield. It's part of the BUCS Nationals, a multi-sport competition. And delighted you can join us for coverage today and tomorrow, of course. So the action gets underway at 10 o'clock on the track. First of all with heats of the 1500 metres and then down to 2 laps of the track for the 400s. We had some 800 heats yesterday, so we move on to semi-finals and then 3000 metres as well. So it's got a sort of a middle distance theme before then 1500 metre semi-finals at around 3 until 4 o'clock when the relays commence, the relay carnage that we have seen over the years, because the tight indoor track 4x200 metres, a rarely run event, and we see a mix of sprinters and 400 metre runners getting involved. And you can get involved on social media by using the hashtag BUCS Nationals, bottom left of your screen. So as I say, the action gets underway in just over, or just less than 10 minutes time. So looking forward to another great day of action.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 2025 This year marks the centenary of British University Sport, and the medal design is the best fans. Mentioned at the outset, for our partners, the Institute of Leadership and Management will be behind set up along the concourse to maintain together with student groups and Camp America. Well, yesterday the championship got off for a tremendous start. The best was very much led to lads, the men and women's 60 metres. In both of those, we saw championship best performances. First of all, Cheyenne and Grace University's Monkey stopped at 7.2 feet and Better at 7.31, jointly set by Montel Douglas back in 2007.
It's day 2 then of these indoor championships here in Sheffield, and we're getting underway with heats of the men's 1500 metres. So there will be 5 of these heats. And this first one, as they wait on the far side of the stadium, will feature James Habigham of Leeds Beckett, Omar O'Hara of Exeter, Jordan Wood of Cardiff Met, Thomas Bailey of Imperial, Lawrence Skidmore of Manchester, Mohammed of Southampton Solent, champion over 3,000 metres here in 2018, and a very accomplished international cross-country runner as well, Andrew Milligan of Durham, Cian Evans-Coey of London School of Economics. So it's all about getting in the top 3 of each heat, and then there are 3 more time qualifier spots available. So they get going, and that's Mohammed in the black and red vest for Solent. So he has a lifetime best of 3:48.94, accomplished over longer distances as well. As I said, he was 4th over 3,000 metres last year, following up that gold medal winning performance 2 years ago. The BUCS cross-country champion as well. Going a bit further back, he was 3rd for Great Britain in the European cross-country championships in the under-20 race in 2016. Andrew Milligan we saw in the 800 metres yesterday, and that means he's got a pretty busy day on his hands, because he qualified for the 800 metre semi-finals, which take place in 3 hours time, and if he qualifies in the 1500, then he will have 3 races in one day, because the semi-finals for this event are at 3:20, so it could be quite a busy day. We mentioned that there were yesterday 3 rounds for the 60 metre finalists, but it's a bit further, shall we say. So around 1:25 as they came through. 5 laps to go now. So it's Milligan of Durham, then Mohammed of Southampton Solent, then Habigham of Leeds Beckett, and Jordan Wood of Cardiff Met is in 4th place, and a bit of a gap behind him. Looks like Omar O'Hara in the dark green of Exeter. And nicely in single file now, like a tram line running along. Andrew Milligan also went out and led his 800 metre heat yesterday. Now Mohammed is going to push on down the back straight. Always a sign of athlete with a great quality when they push on before the last lap and decide, I've got this one. And it looks like he's just cruising through. 3 laps to go now. 2:31 on the belt. clock, excuse me. Mohammed. And then a group of 3, Milligan dropping back now. Not the easiest one to judge, doubling up over 800, 1500. Jamie Webb did that the outdoors in 2018. So 400 metres to go. At the moment it would be Mohammed, James Habigam and Jordan Wood going through to those semi-finals. Well, Mohammed looking very relaxed, but look at Habigam trying to close. He doesn't need to at this point. 3:32 as they hit the bell. Habigam, I suppose these two may battle again in the later rounds, so a good test. But they should both know that they've qualified now, and Wood has as well. So Mohammed, Habigam and Wood through, and then Milligan does hold on to 4th place, and he does actually close significantly on Wood in the final stages. 4:04.12 is the time showing trackside. So that concludes the first heat of the men's 1500 metres, and by this stage things had pretty much been wrapped up already, particularly as far as Mohammed was concerned. (2018) BUCS Indoor 3000 metre champion. Well, just being told that the official time is 4:04.69, which is half a second different to what the clock showed there, so we'll keep an eye on that. And well, the stand already pretty much filling up. Got some Cambridge vests there. We're waiting the athletes then for the second heat of the men's 1500 metres. Just looking across, all 5 of them. Thomas Keane, the European under-18 champion a couple of years ago over 3000 metres, goes for the University of Birmingham in number 3, and then someone else with European experience, Remy Adebayi, who is a finalist in the European under-20 Championships in Borås near Gothenburg in Sweden. He finished 12th in the final, so it's the first Brit ahead of teammate Christian Imroth, who finished 14th. And I think for both of them it was an international debut. It was a new experience, and it came as a result of qualifying at the trials in Bedford, which will again take place this summer in June. And they both ran the time they needed, so got selection on the day, a great feeling. And then of course they got competition experience. So Keane in the 3rd heat, Adebayi in the 4th, and some others making their BUCS debuts as well. Well, Thomas Keane is indeed making his BUCS track debut. David Sheldon, one of the faster athletes to come for Loughborough in the 5th heat. Always some experienced faces and some lesser known names reaching university level. This is heat number 2 then. And wearing leg number 1 there. That's Alex Rowe of Bath as we wait for the gun to go on the far side. Seven and a half laps of this track. And early leader there, that's Jacques Cunningham Marsh of Sussex. He's joined in this one by Nicky Faulkner of Imperial, Alistair Haston of Sheffield, Alex Gruen of Oxford, the Australian, who was a finalist here 2 years ago. John Howarth of Cardiff, Ethan Dunn of Liverpool John Moores, Jordan Latimer of Sunderland, and Ewan Bates, who is from Leeds. So a bit of a stroll through this early stages. Cunningham Marsh are leading out. So that group of 6, led by Cunningham Marsh and Alex Rowe in second place, then Alex Gruen wearing 747, and Nicky Faulkner of Imperials behind him. So now beginning to push on a bit. Remember, it's the top 3 that go through and 3 next best times. Well, yesterday we saw a couple of competition records go. One from Charlie Dobson in the men's 60 metres that had been held for 10 years. And this is also an event where the competition record was set a decade ago by Jonathan Taylor of Teesside University. 3:46.12. Many of these men don't have a huge amount of experience of running a 1500 metres indoors, so we're sort of looking at outdoor personal bests to get an idea and taking them with a pinch of salt. So a new experience for quite a few. Come through with 3 laps to go now, around 2:30 on the clock. Nicky Faulkner of Imperial from Alex Gruen of Oxford. Cunningham Marsh is still in there, our early leader. John Howarth of Cardiff on the outside. So it was 6, now down to 4. There's a huge gap of nearly 100 metres to anyone further behind. Well, Cunningham Marsh did a lot of the hard work from the opening of the race. As he got left enough to challenge the top 3 as it stands, very close. Here comes Howarth now, putting some distance between the top 3 and Cunningham Marsh. So 3:30.7 at the bell. Gruen has a look over his shoulder, prompts Howarth to do the same. And now Faulkner looking a little bit more tired, but can never read too much into facial expressions. John Howarth looks strong. You have to say that he and Gruen are through, and Faulkner is going to join. So 4 minutes and 1.19 the clock stops at. Well, you can't read too much into the relative times of the heats because Mohammed was fairly comfortable over the line, but this is marginally faster. All about the timing and the racecraft. And we should see good battles to get inside the top 3 for qualification. Applause there for Jordan Latimer of Sunderland as he comes home. So 3 more heats to come.
And so to be free, lining up on the inside, representing Bristol University, David Caulfield. From Cardiff Met, Rob Warren. Then representing Exeter, Ben Hampshire. From St Mary's, Max Jones. Representing University College London, Jacob Milburn. And then in the leading race and goal of Birmingham University, the man who set the UK under-20 equal record of 3:41.41 at the Vienna Classic, and you have Tom King. Representing Durham, George Grassley. From Chester University, from Newbury. And representing Oxford, we have Sam Brown Barabala. That is the lineup for the third of the 5 heats. Next 1500.
James Thee coaching here with Cardiff Met, just watching on. Best view in the house at this point. And he's about to watch heat number 3, and it includes Robert Howarth of Cardiff Met, also David Corky of Bristol, Ben Hampshire of Exeter, Max Jones of St Mary's, Jacob Milburn of University College London, and then Tom Keane, the European Under-18 champion, George Grassley of Durham, Freddie Newbury of Chester, and Sam Brown Araujo of Oxford. Already seen teammate Alex Gruen go through. So once again, 7.5 laps of the track. Looks like the Oxford man on the outside. Sam Brown Araujo. And Cardiff Met's Robert Howarth on the inside. So once again, just easing into this race, and those who qualify will have 1500 metre semi-finals to come this afternoon. And, well, it's tricky to double up because you have got the 3000 metres and the 800 metres also today. Tom Keane now beginning to assert his authority on this race. 3:41.44, his best. That new outright PB set indoors in Vienna recently. Also won the Run Sterling, home country's cross-country international in Scotland, the men's under-20 race, running for England on that occasion. And this is his BUCS debut. So the group of 5, led by Tom Keane, as though he doesn't really want to lead at this stage. Pace almost encouraging others to come forward, almost a walking pace. It almost looks like a slow-mo replay, in fact. Looking over and encouraging those to come through. Sam Brown-Araujo not wanting to lead either. Well, those behind now beginning to catch up. Around 2:08 as they went through with 800 to go. Well, they were almost 3 abreast at the front, waiting for someone to come through, and well, when they're closely packed together like that on this tight indoor track, can get a bit bumpy. We saw that in the 600 metres where it was in Ireland midweek. Martin Rooney and Guy Learmonth were running 600, and along with Elliot Giles and Di Green, and they are all bumping and barging into one another. Well, now really begin to break away. You can see the change of gear. Tom Keane at the front still. That's Durham's George Grassley on the outside, and he's helped shift this pace now. Top 3 to go through automatically, and this is not really going to be a race that's likely to feature time qualifiers. Tom Keane beginning to push on now, as though he doesn't want to assert too much energy, and will know that he can kick if needed. 6 men down to 4. It's like a survival of the fittest, these heats. Grassley leading as they hit the bell. 3:45.3. Another change in gear now. Keane looking over his shoulder from Jones. Howarth and Grassley falling back. Brown-Araujo has found another burst of pace, but he'll be 4th at best. Tom Keane comfortable. Jones happy and easy as well for Howarth. So 4:13 on the clock, and that is significantly slower than even the likes of Mohammed easing up over the line in the first heat. So we will not likely have any time qualifiers beyond the top 3 from this heat. But BUCS races can sometimes be cagey and tactical like that. The athletes like Tom Keane of international quality, not wanting to exert any more energy than is necessary, and knows that it could be comfortable. Well, that's the way that he would have wanted to run that heat. That leaves us with 2 more of the men's 1500 preliminaries, and then naturally the women's 1500 will follow. And there are only 3 heats of the women's 1500, so we won't need any semi-finals. They will advance to the 1500 metre final taking place tomorrow. There's Leeds Beckett's Andy Henderson watching on. He's had a shot. Birmingham's Luke Gunn as well. So who's who in terms of team managers. On the outside, James Thie we already mentioned a moment ago. They've all got their little camps by the railings. A close-up view of this 1500 metres. So it may well be easier for the women to double up in that case, with just one round of the 1500 today. The likes of Amy Griffiths, Kaima Langer and Sabrina Sina, Eloise Walker as well involved. But that's all to come. First of all, this is heat 4 of the men's 1500 metres. It includes Prince Reid, the T20 athlete who was involved in the triple jump and the 60 final yesterday, showing his versatility. And Reid gets off to a good start. So classified as a T20 athlete. This is his third event of the weekend. And storming into the lead. So also in this one, Josh Mulley of Oxford Brookes, Prince Reid, Jack Douglas of Newcastle, Ricky Lutakome of St Mary's, Remy Adebayo of Bath, who featured in the steeplechase for Great Britain at the European Under-20 Championships last year, James Wright of Leeds, and James Hennigan and Alfred Yabsley, a Swansea man. But well, Prince Reid absolutely cruising through here, and no one else wanting to use up the same amount of energy. I just wonder whether Reid can maintain this pace. He stormed off for the University of East Anglia. .64 seconds for 400 metres. Quickest of all the heats so far. Comes through with 5 laps to go. And 1:21 on the clock. So into the second third of the race. Lutakome is in that second group. Also Alfred Yabsley of Swansea, and then Adebayo, and then now coming to, unfortunately for Prince Reid, swallow up his lead. So James Hennigan of Cardiff it is, our new leader. 3:49.14 his lifetime best. He set an 800 indoor PB to win the Welsh indoor title at the end of last month in Cardiff. Another great indoor venue. This is here in Sheffield, and it's Hennigan from Lutakome, Yabsley and Adebayo, the top 4. And then a bit of a gap back to the athlete with leg number 4, and that's Jack Douglas of Newcastle. Well, Hennigan, the top athlete in this field on paper, and proving that here on the track as well. Cardiff met one of those very healthy rivalries. We've seen Jordan Wood as well as Robert Howarth go through for Cardiff Met. We've seen John Howarth go through for Cardiff. So looking to make it 2 each for both of those Welsh universities, and of course Alfred Yabsley of Swansea also in contention. So Welsh Athletics will be pleased. Scottish Athletics were pretty happy at the new 60-metre indoor national record for Alicia Rees, who got the silver medal yesterday, but Hennigan very much strolling away with this one. Adebayo now begins to move up the gears. He's got that target of Hennigan in front of him. Hennigan trying to tire. They'll have to hold on here. He will do so. There was just a moment when you thought even Lutakome could catch. 4 minutes 1, so the same time as the second heat, pretty much. And Lutakome is the one who is in 4th spot, but not too far behind the winner. He's certainly got a strong opportunity to make the semi-finals. He will have to wait and see, though. You can see the speed there that Adebayo had.
Not quite got
4:0122 was the time of the second heat, so it's just a tenth slower. And that leaves us with one heat remaining. You can see Lutakame just behind Alfred Yabsley and Prince Reed. They're an electric opening. And eventually he was consumed by the chasing pack. But this is his 3rd event of the weekend.
We have one DNS in P5, it's fine in the next 1500. Queen Mary's Peoria Sun DNS. So the lineup is from the inside, representing Birmingham University, Joe Tuffin, from the University of Central Lancashire, Louis Greenfield, then Aberdeen University's Joe Marsden, representing Sheffield University, Sam Sullivan. From Chester University, Adam Cole. Representing York, Tom Fulton. From Loughborough, David Sheldon. And completing the lineup from Sheffield University, Sam Hunt. P5 in the line, men's 1500.
Final heat then of the men's 1500 metres. We've got Joseph Tuffin of Birmingham, Charon Sun of Queen Mary's, Luke Greenfield of University of Central Lancashire, Joseph Barton of Aberdeen, Sam Summerfield of Sheffield, Adam Poole of Chester, York's Thomas Fulton, David Sheldon of Loughborough, and Sam Cullen of Sheffield Hallam. So leg number 1, that's Joseph Tuffin of Birmingham. Excellent middle distance prowess, winning many titles over the years, particularly on the women's side with Mari Smith and Sarah McDonald as well, who won 2 consecutive 1500 metre indoor goals in 2014 and 2015, and then competed more recently at the World Championships for Great Britain. And well, that was my first BUCS indoors in 2014 when she came and won that gold medal. So Joseph Tappin leading the way, just looking to see who's in second place, leg number 4, so that's Aberdeen's Joseph Barton. They've had some success over the years with Michael Ferguson, who was also a member of the Aberdeen Athletics Club. Kelsey Stewart, past medalist for them also. And who can forget Zoe Clark, who has won doubles here, I think has won BUCS medals over 60, 200 and 400, BUCS titles even. In 2017 she was both the BUCS champion outdoors and the British senior national champion, which is a pretty impressive feat. David Sheldon then in second place, lifetime best of 3:48.92, a semi-finalist back in 2017 and returning here to try and go one better. And then you've got Sam Summerfield of Sheffield in third. As I say that, in fact, Thomas Fulton of York just overtaking him. So these men really spread out, and they're looking for the top 3 positions now, just a heat of the 1500 metres, but making it through can be tough sometimes. All about getting through to that final. One more round to come today. So come on boys, book your spots. Birmingham, Loughborough and York. 400 metres to go. Around 3:01, 3:02 on that clock. Well, Somerville in with an opportunity, just trying to manage that gap, just out of shot. Tuffin, who has led for so long, and barring a collapse, should be certain of being in the top 3. Somerville still lurking and working. 3 minutes 33.5. Bit of a middle distance themed day across the second day of action here. 800, 3000 and 1500 semis to come. 400 metres will follow this in the women's heats. So like we've seen so many times, it's almost a bit of a catch-up as they cross the line. A bit of a social, just easing up. 4:06.52. So Somerville will hope that he's close enough in 4th place. But I think Luta Kome, of those we've seen so far, who finished 4th for St Mary's a moment ago, has one of the best chances, without having seen all the times, of course, finishing 4th in a 4 minutes 1 race. David Sheldon does take the win in the end. So this is Adam Poole of Chester coming through there, and the customary applause as the race is completed is a great thing to see at BUCS. We saw participation in the sprints yesterday was as many as 12 heats. So next to come will be the women's 1500 heats, getting underway in a few moments' time. Well, it looks like Ellen Barber is about to jump next. There she is, the heptathlete. This is pool 1 of qualification for the women's long jump final. Barber not quite executing there, but this is only her first go. Shows you how good the field event participation is as well, with multiple pools. We actually have 3 pools of athletes trying to qualify in the women's long jump, so a couple may have not started indeed, but on the start list there are some 44 athletes, and they include Ellen Barber and Emilia Del Hoyo Perez, the Spanish athlete who's a heptathlon PB of 5,100 points. So we'll bring you more long jump a little later on. And let's have a look. There's a sea of paper in front of me with all the start lists, and we've got the women's 1500 now, and there are just 3 heats, so no need for semi-finals then. Two from each going through, the top 2, and then 3 best times. So 9 will advance straight through to the final. So here is heat number 1. 7.5 laps of the track. Amy Griffiths, one of the favourites, is in this. Back in 2015, European under-20 1500 metres silver medalist. Back in December at the European Cross Country Championships, she was the 15th in the women's senior race, now a senior athlete. Used to represent St Mary's and now Loughborough. And 2015 was a breakthrough year for her. She was also the BUCS outdoor champion, so 5 years ago. And just shows you how much some of these athletes love to keep coming back and performing at BUCS championships. A World Junior finalist as well, European under-23 finalist then in 2017. So also we got Katie Hughes of St Mary's, who's just behind this leading trio. Nicole Edmonds is behind her. They're just beginning to close up a little, in fact. In this front 3, you've got Emily Simpson behind the ponytail of Griffiths in the African violet vest. Chloe Sharp of Kent, though, is our leader at this point. So into the second third of the race with 2.5 laps now, more than that, completes. So Sharp and then Griffiths, followed by Simpson. Now beginning to bunch together a little. Less than 4 laps to go. So who's going to time this one right? Live coverage here from the English Institute of Sport in Sheffield. Also live swimming across these 3 days from Pond's Forge, as we have 8 sports that are part of the BUCS Nationals competition. So 2:49 as they come through with 600 to go. Just slowing in the second 400 metres, and Amy Griffiths now begins to push on, and Emily Simpson is going to try and follow her through now. Griffiths with a lifetime best of 4 minutes 9.71. And Simpson trying to track her for as long as possible. 400 metres to go, 3:22 on the clock. Well, the heats, as well as being about qualification, from a viewing perspective, it's trying to see where the battles will be and who might line up against each other in the final. We've had the 60 metres and 60 hurdles finals yesterday, in which we had some dominant heat winners like Alicia Rees and Cheyenne Evans-Gray, and when they came against each other in that final, it produced not only a championship record but a tantalisingly close race. And there's always such a brilliant story of the race in these middle distance runs. Even if the 60s get the big billing and being the fastest students, that sort of mentality and that reputation, but watching a race like this unfold, particularly once we come to final time, will be thrilling to watch. So Amy Griffiths now coming through quite easily, 4:28.08 showing trackside from Simpson. So those are the top two that go through automatically. Chloe Sharp will have to wait and see whether she can get in those next best 3 times. So the other athletes there coming through with a lap to go. That's a sign of the pace of Amy Griffiths. And the others there to finish, Katie Hughes and Nicole Edmonds. Edmonds with leg number 9. So coming in now, Karina Thornton of London School of Economics and the Hull athlete Nicole Farrier. And I think this is Shamila Halford of Leeds.
So our student athletes will remember to go along and say hello to the BUCS partners in student leadership and management, student groups from Camp America, who are set up on the concourse behind the main seating area, at the end where the steps lead up to reception. Perhaps to offer a free holiday in America by tempt you to come see Camp America. Student groups and in student leadership and management both got freebies, photo competitions, sets of earphones to be won. Might be worth going on to that race for London. Might sort out your nomination for next year, student groups, and get some tips on your career with the Institute of Leadership and Management. And so he's 2 of the 3 women's 17 pound representing Manchester Met, Kiara Young. From Bristol University, Hannah Thom. Then Leeds Beckett, Vicky Merrick. From Whittle College, Tyler Langer, representing Loughborough, Rosie Johnson. From Glasgow University, Alicia Patton. Representing Aberdeen, Anna Addison. From Birmingham University, Maisie Bryce, and on the outside, completing the lineup from Sheffield University, Emily Hughes. He's 2 of 3, women's 1500.
Now ready for heat number 2 of 3. That's Cara Young of Manchester Met on the inside. and Steve Green managing the team here for coaching support. Former Jamaican international middle distance runner. So as well as young, we've got Hannah Tom of Bristol, Leeds Beckett's Victoria Merrick, Kai Malanga here for Writtle. As the 2017 European Under-20 champion from Grosseto in Italy, where that title was won for 1883, her best. Won that title over 800 metres here over the longer distance. Also Rosie Johnson of Loughborough, 4:15 is her lifetime best, but from some years ago, so it's not the time that is used to seed her, and that's why we've got both Malanga and Johnson in this one. Rosie Johnson was the bronze medalist indoors last year, and already there's a bit of a breakaway now, including both Johnson and Malanga. Alicia Patton of Glasgow also in this, Aberdeen's Hannah Addison, Maisie Grice of Birmingham, and Emily Hughes of Sheffield. 75.5 after 400 metres. So that's Maisie Grice now leading this race. 5 laps to go. So Birmingham, Writtle and Loughborough. Of course, just 2 will go through automatically. So these 3 liners done. Maisie Grice of Birmingham, Kai Malanga of Writtle College and Rosie Johnson of Loughborough. Malanga, European Junior Champion 2.5 years ago. Maisie Grice maybe trying to pull away, but Malanga sticking like glue, and if anything they're bunching together now. Birmingham and Loughborough having a great rivalry. Birmingham perhaps shedding it over middle distance, but Loughborough so dominant overall, always winning the trophies and team titles at BUCS competitions. Danielle Webb, one of their winners in middle distance terms in the past. But Birmingham with the experienced coaching of Bud Boldaro and supported by Luke Gunn, who's here. Has such a stable of 815 champions to call upon over the years. Izzy Boffey, of course, doing well on her BUCS debut year. But here comes Kai Malanga now showing great form, and Maisie Grice has dropped back into 3rd place on this last lap. Just look at how this race has unfolded now. Johnson trying to respond and get inside that all-important top 2. Well, Maisie Grice will have to hope that this race will be fast enough, but she's losing time as the gap widens. Kai Malanga fast across the finish, 4:29.60. Of course, just the 3 heats as Grice crosses in around 4:37. There we are, 4:29.6 showing trackside. It was around 8 seconds later that Maisie Grice even crossed the line, around 4:37. So there are your top three. As the others cross. Manchester Met's Kira Young there. And still another athlete on the back straights. So there is Malanga crossing the line, 4:29 the time. And the crowd applauding as Hannah Tom of Bristol comes through now.
Some important information regarding qualification from the heats of the men's 400 to the men's round semi-finals. It is the top two in each of the 10 heats to be joined by the 4 fastest non-automatic qualifiers. The qualification as printed on the sheet is incorrect.
Well, it looks like two pools of the long jump qualifying happening simultaneously in the two runways alongside one another. Is that one of the, I was going to say Loughborough athletes, but different vest.
So from the men's 400, it is the first two in each of the 10 heats to be joined by 4 fastest non-automatic qualifiers in the round 2. Meanwhile, back to the track, back to the 1500 metres, the third and final heat.
Third and final heat of the women's 1500 metres, and it features Sabrina Senior just warming up there out of shots. Second fastest in the competition behind Amy Griffiths, 4:17.48, her lifetime best, and she was the BUCS outdoor 1500 metre silver medalist behind Georgie Hartigan last year. What a great race that was. Was pretty cagey and tactical. She's one of those coached by Bud Baldaro and supported by Luke Gunn, as I mentioned, in Birmingham. The 2016 European Youth 1500 metre silver medalist. Mentioned that tournament back in 2016 a few times, but just shows you the sort of progression of some of the youth athletes through to this level. So Sina on the outside. And the full lineup, including Isabel Cotton of Liverpool, John Moores, who's just about our early leader here in the light blue. And you've got Nancy Bowley of Oxford in the navy behind her, searching for space there. Eloise Walker of Glasgow. Eloise Walker, lifetime best of 4:23.17. Another who's featured for Great Britain at junior level. Last year, a finalist in the 3,000 metres, the European Under-20 Championships in Sweden, and also part of the World Cross Country team for Great Britain. And she was just outside the top 50, and she was 8th at the BUCS Cross Country Championships at the start of this month. So Cotton with Sina on her shoulder, then Walker, then Bowley, Molly O'Hanlon of Exeter, and then Lauren Nichols of St Mary's, Amelia Williams of Bristol, and Emma Cox Cunningham out of shot, along with Lauren Walker of Leeds.
European under 23,000 finals last year. She's now stopping on third.
So Cottam, Cena and Walker trying to get inside that top two, but decent pace being set here. They came through just then with 4 laps to go.
So it looks like any two from 3, Isabel Cottam, Eloise Walker, Sabrina Sinner. 2:26.7.
Cena just about shading it then. This, the final heat of 3. 600 metres to go, so neck and neck. No separating these women. Incidentally, the athlete in 4th place just crossing the line now. It's still the Oxford athlete Nancy Bowley. That just gives you an idea of the gap, which is almost 100 metres. Now just 400 metres to go, so 3:22 on that clock. 4:29 was the time from the previous heat. Maisie Grice just run out of it in the end, so Sabrina Senior will hope to get an automatic spot. So Liverpool, John Moores, then Birmingham and then Glasgow. Now here comes Eloise Walker, who uses the bell as a bit of a cue to push on. 3:58.51 at the bell. So Walker, knowing that only the top 2 will qualify, now getting on with it. And are we going to have another Birmingham athlete finishing in 3rd place, or can Sabrina Singer overtake our rally leader Isabel Cottam? So now it's Glasgow, Birmingham from Liverpool, John Moores, and that looks like the way it will stay, all importantly, at the finish. So 4:32 on the clock, so actually that's slower than the second heat by 2.5 seconds. I understand that some of these times though are having some quite significant adjustments when it comes to the official clocking. Sometimes as much as a few tenths of a second, so we'll wait and see. But really a professional job that Eloise Walker did in the last 200 metres of that race, just pushing on and making sure she took the victory in that heat. So you're joining us watching the second day of action here at the 2020 BUCS Indoor Athletics Championships, and alongside me is Darcy Kuipers from Brunel. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. So this is you're now doing a Masters.
Yep. Yeah.
At Brunel. So enjoying competing now. What, in your 4th year?
Yeah. So this is my 4th year at uni and my 4th year doing BUCS as well.
So last year was a particularly special year for you because
Yeah.
you seemed to set lifetime best after lifetime best.
Yeah.
And for those people who didn't watch the outdoors last year, just tell us what happened and how it was like.
So at the outdoors BUCS last year, I competed in the 100 metres to begin with. So in my heat, I set a PB, and then in my semi-final, I set another PB. And then in my final, I then broke my PB again, and I ended up getting a silver medal along with that. So that was pretty cool to.
Yeah, it was pretty special. So I suppose, what's it like to be part of the team though, competing across the weekend? Because it's not often that, let's say, sprinters and middle distance runners and field events all get to be part of the same team. You all got that in common, that you're competing for the uni.
Yeah, so because I'm a sprinter, I mainly know the sprinters because I train with them. Whereas when we come to BUCS Championships, we get to meet people of the other events. So like I meet all the long distances and the event people. So it's nice just to sit with everyone, like chat with everyone, and just get to know each other a bit more.
So Brunel obviously having a particular sprint specialism, I think it's fair to say. So
Yep.
you'll have quite a choice between people to take part in the relay, I suppose, later. Have you been part of the 4x2 relay before? It's quite a unique.
So I've done the 4x2 every year that I've competed for Brunel. This year we have quite a few girls competing and quite a different range of girls as well. So we've got a few 4 runners who are about to do the 400, and then we've got some 2 runners as well. So, and some hurdlers. So the relay is probably one of the best parts of the BUCS Championships, really. Yeah,
and you've got Holly Mills, who started competing for Brunel last year, and then as part of her season she went to the European Under-20 Championships, and so I suppose it's nice to have people of international quality.
Yeah, so I actually live with Holly as well, so I see her basically every day. So yeah, it's nice to see your people who you live with doing well in competitions, and teammates as well that go to the same uni as you. So yeah, it's nice.
And we've also got Louise Evans coming up in these 400 metres. So Louise was also at those championships where I think she was a finalist in the 400 metres and won gold in the relay. So and Louise am I right in saying that this is her first year?
Yeah, so she's in her first year of uni. We train with the same coach. We both train with Linda Christie, so I see her quite often at training. Like she trains in the morning mostly. I train in the evening, but we still cross paths a lot. So last year was quite a big year for her. Like she improved a lot herself, and then she obviously did the GB. She did GB Juniors and Euros and everything like that. So it was quite nice to watch her progress a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's the thing, is you would have seen quite a few athletes come through Brunel. So we're going to watch some 400 metres. They're coming up in just a few minutes' time. I think we start off with the men's, in fact. So are there any Brunel athletes in the 400 metres?
I know of one who I train with, David Ryan. He's in heat 6. I train with him. He's improved a lot as well, really.
So give us a sense what this tight indoor arena is like in Sheffield to compete on.
So I actually really like the Sheffield track. I don't get to compete at Sheffield very often because it's pretty much only BUCS I get to compete here. Every other time I'm at Lee Valley, and everyone who competes at Lee Valley knows it's not the best 200 metre track. So to actually have a chance to run somewhere else, it's nice. And I always tend to run fast on this track, so I guess it's a quick track.
So how are they different between Lee Valley and Sheffield? Is it different sensation, different feeling?
So Lee Valley is very hard, a very hard track and very bumpy, and like the curves, like the bends on, they're just very different. I find it very difficult to run at Lee Valley because I'm quite a tall sprinter as well. So like if I'm put in lane 2, it's a completely different race to if I was in lane 6. So yeah.
Well, Martin Rooney midweek, he had his first indoor race beyond 60 metres, so it is his first time, such an experienced athlete running on the the oval, and he found it particularly difficult, so took to the outside immediately.
Yeah.
So 60 metres for you yesterday.
Yeah, so I did the 60 metres yesterday. So I came 6th in the final. I think I came 6th, yeah, so 6th. And I ran pretty close to my PB, which I'm happy about. I'm quite consistent with my times this year, so I'm happy about that as well.
So the athletes are now out then for heat number 1 of the men's 400 metres. So just take me through who's in this race. Ben Boyce of Liverpool, John Moores, James Greenhow of Sheffield, Kieran Elland of Cardiff Met, Barnaby Dougal of Portsmouth, Ollie Biddle of Gloucestershire, and Jean-Claude Nicolas Ducre of Newcastle. So 2 laps of the track here in Sheffield. So I seem to think that there's a great amount of you who aren't competing today, I suppose, who are watching on, and therefore you get a good amount of support, don't you, from your teammates that you might not do at other events where it's more individual.
Yeah, so it's nice to, like, because I'm competing Friday and tomorrow as well, so like today's just the day to like watch everyone and like talk to everyone. And
so you don't mind just having that day off effectively?
No, it's actually quite nice just to have a down day, just to rest, recovery, just before I go again in the 2 tomorrow, so yeah.
Well, we're saying that those who had a place in the 60 metre finals yesterday, they did 3 rounds of 60 in one day, but I suppose not too much of a challenge given it's only 60?
Yeah, so it's not as... Okay, it is quite intense when it's such a quick turnaround, especially between the semi and the final. So I finished my semi and I looked at the time and I was like, I only have half an hour before I have to be in the call room for my final. So that was quite intense, but it's not too bad because it is 60 metres, so yeah.
And Emmanuel Sassagna, who's running the 400 metres for UEL, was saying that possibly you might actually you sort of stay in quite a high adrenaline mode, and you still feel maybe the tightness in your legs and whatever, so it's not too bad in terms of trying to get in the right mentality for the final, if it's the same case for everyone. Yeah,
that is the same case with me as well, so I just have to stay in the same mindset as I was in the semi-final, if not pick it up a little bit because it is a final and I've got to step up my game a little bit, so just got to stay focused, and there's not much time in between, so it's quite easy to stay focused as well. So
by contrast, though, some of the middle distance runners will have 2 rounds in one day, the 1500 metres, particularly if you're doubling up, it does make it quite a challenge, as you can see. So there's, let's say you're doing both 8 and 1500, you might have 3 races in one day, so that's quite a difficult one to manage.
That's quite challenging. I can't imagine trying to do that, but well done for the people who do that. So
exactly. So Ben Boyce, James Greenhow, Kieran Elland, Barnaby Dougal, Ollie Biddle and Jean-Claude Nicolas of Newcastle. So it's just the top 1 in each of these 10 heats, and then the next 14 best times. You happy to stay with us for the 400 metres?
Yeah, I'll stay.
Great. So do you have much experience of running beyond 200?
So my coach made me do a 400 last year.
My coach made me do.
Just to see, but I think I'll definitely stick to the 200s. I'm not really a fan of the 400s, so not a fan of the pain of the 400s. So
here we are awaiting then this first heat of 10. We had 12 heats yesterday of the 60. So once again, just the winner going through automatically. So of course semi-finals will be required, and let's see how they go here. Boyce, Greenhow, Elland, Dougal, Biddle and Nicolas. Seen quite a growth in representation, I think, for Liverpool. John Moores, Cotton tried to make it through just then in the 1500 metres, but a great start on the outside for the Newcastle athlete. Well, in fact, that's Ollie Biddle of Gloucestershire. Ollie Biddle, lifetime best of 47.71. A finalist at the England Senior Championships last year. So coming through with 200 metres to go. Around 23 on the clock. So now being chased down. So got to time this one right. Looks like Kieran Elland of Cardiff Met on the back straight there, but just the winner going through. So That's going to be Ollie Biddle. Just looking over his shoulder, and once again, as we've seen so many times in the heat, strolling there across the line. 49.99. Well, so only the winner going through there. Do you think that maybe played a part in how he ran that race, knowing that he had to win to go through, maybe?
Yeah, so I think once you're in the last like kind of 50 metres of the race, you can kind of tell you can like ease up a little bit, because obviously you have 3 rounds to do, possibly, so you don't want to use up all your energy in the heat when you don't have to. So yeah, so just getting that win is the most essential part of the race, really. So yeah.
Yeah, and as well as that, for some of the guys who are quicker, I suppose the heats are quite straightforward. I mean, for you yesterday, for example, the heat was a fairly simple qualification process as well.
Yeah, so when it comes to the heat, my mind process is just win the race, get through to the final. It doesn't really I don't really mind what time I run in the heat, because it's just the heat. Like, you still got 2 more rounds to go, and yeah, just there's no point using up all your energy if you don't need to. So
exactly. So 1 down, 9 to go in terms of these men's 400 heats. So they're just out for number 2. Rory Campbell of Glasgow, Strathclyde's Mark Holliman, Gerard Campbell of Manchester, Rory Minchin of Sussex, Emmanuel Sassagna of East London, and Sam Nelson of Oxford. Emmanuel Sassagna was told a couple of years ago that he doesn't come home with a medal, then he won't get back on the team bus. So I don't know whether you use any of those tactics at Brunel.
Not that of my knowledge, but yeah.
But I suppose the benefit of being part of a team as well is that you do see others, you watch others win medals, and it perhaps can spur you on as well.
Yeah, so I get quite emotional when I see other people do well. So like, I live at uni, I live with quite a few athletes, so like Holly Mills, a pole vaulter, hurdler. Whenever they PB or anything, like I shed a tear a little bit. I get quite emotional, because like obviously I know what it feels like to PB, and when you're trying so hard to reach a certain time or height and you do it, you know that feeling. So it's quite overwhelming with emotion.
So can you think of a time that's made you particularly emotional, something a teammate that has done,
so
BUCS or otherwise?
Last year, my flatmate who does pole vault, she's Ellie McCartney, she's doing the pole vault tomorrow. She was trying to jump 4 metres, and then she jumped 4 metres last year, and I knew how much it meant to her, so I got very emotional and I started crying, because yeah, I just know how, just that feeling, I can't even explain the feeling of trying so hard to reach a goal and then reaching that goal. So
well, let's see who can achieve their goal of qualifying here. So Rory Campbell, they're just out of shot, in fact. Well, lingering into it, you can just about see his feet coming in and out again. Holliman, Campbell, Minchin, Sassagna and Nelson. Emmanuel Sassagna, lifetime best of 47.8. Season's best here in Sheffield, 49.80. There on the outside. There's a bit of a rivalry between UEL and Brunel, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, well, we both have we're majority sprinters, so there's a lot of competition between UEL, Brunel, Loughborough, and also Cardiff Mares and Bath. Like, they're like the main sprinting unis, so it's quite competitive between them unis in particular.
Yeah, it gets quite intense when they're all head to head in the relay.
Yeah, relay's fun though, so.
So this is heat number 2 then. Once again, just the winner will go through. Well, the competition record for the 400 metres actually held by a Brunel athlete, David Hall.
Oh yeah.
From 2015.
Yeah, so he graduated the year before I came to uni, but he was still around when I came, so I know of him. So yeah.
Equalled by Cameron Chalmers, 46.91 in 2017. So Sassagna now looks like he's going to be the athlete that doesn't want to take anything to chance. Maybe a fraction slower than Biddle through the first 200 metres, but doesn't really matter if you're that top athlete. Holloman of Strathclyde is then in second place, and then Sam Nelson of Oxford. So the tall figure of Emmanuel Sasanya then going to come through comfortably in this race, 50.57, I should say. So Sasanya of UEL victorious in heat number 2. So same situation really, an athlete pretty dominant in that one, and it doesn't look like he's broken sweat too much.
Yeah.
They've got the new look vests, UEL.
Yeah, I did notice that. It's different. It's nice. I quite like the.
I suppose they have to. It's like talking the talk, and you've got to walk the walk as well. Haven't
Yeah,
you?
yeah. You've got to look good when you compete.
Well, I often think that sometimes when someone turns up on the start line with a Great Britain vest or an England vest, they've then got to sort of prove themselves in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. So I've got an England vest myself, but I'm very scared to wear it on any other occasion, because if I then wear it and then I obviously don't perform as well as I hope, then I'm kind of like, what? I feel embarrassed because I'm like, why did I wear my England kit then? It's like, obviously I earn it, but
of course it could be a good luck charm as well. So
yeah, true, yeah.
Have to wait and see. So was that something picked up at the Loughborough International or Manchester International?
So it was the Loughborough International. So after BUCS, the Loughborough International was quite early on in the outdoor season, as well as the BUCS Championship. So because I ran quite quick at the BUCS Championships, I had one of the quickest times in the UK at that point. So then I got the opportunity to represent England in the relay and the 100 metres at Loughborough International as well. So that was good. It was a good experience.
Yeah, it's often quite an unusual relay because you have a GB senior team and GB junior team, and some people actually are picked by more than one person. So
yeah, so some people get picked by GB, by England, and there's also a BUCS team as well. So I got asked to represent BUCS because of my silver medal, and then obviously I got the England selection as well. So I was like, okay, BUCS England, BUCS England, and then I went with the England. So yeah.
Now, was that your first England vest?
So I got one when I was 14 after English schools, like the schools international. I got one when I was younger, but that was my first like senior international England vest. So.
And where did you travel abroad for that?
For the
schools.
Oh, that was just in Cardiff. So yeah.
Well, technically that's abroad.
Yeah.
You don't need your passport though. I was heading up to Scotland for the Scottish indoors, and I was 99% sure, but I just checked anyway. Do you need your passport when you go to Scotland? And the first answer on Google was someone said, you don't need a passport, you just need someone to hold your hand. Weird things you find when you search on the internet. Don't believe everything you read, but
for sure, yeah.
This is heat number 3, and we've got Christopher Goodall of Edinburgh, David Ojewumi of Oxford Brookes, Newcastle's William Seed, Yaniv Sonti of King's College London, Joseph Milton of Durham, and Jack Hocking of Birmingham. So Jack Hocking was the silver medalist behind Chris Sean Aiken last year. So the athletes called to their marks once again, 6 trying to qualify and 1 automatic spot to make it through to the men's semi-finals. Time qualifiers available, so even though the winner goes through, you feel that is quite a large number of those also making it based on time, isn't it?
Yes, that's quite a lot of fast qualifiers. So obviously if you don't get the winning spot, you kind of have to run a different race. You're going to have to run a lot quicker in order to guarantee yourself the fastest loser spot. So
do you think the term fastest loser is outdated, because some people don't like it?
It's a very, I feel like it's quite a negative term. So like fastest loser, but loser's quite not the best word to use because you're not technically a loser, you're just second in a race.
Well, Jack Hocking then is going to win this race. Very, very close for that second spot. Looked like the Durham athlete Joseph Milton was just pipped there.
But yeah, also with the, I don't think it matters as much in the 4 because of the lanes. So like if you win your heat, you're guaranteed a better lane draw for the semi compared to someone who comes second in the race. So in the 60 and the 200, that's kind of.
Do you think there's any
crucial.
difference at all being in inside or outside lanes in a 60?
I think people just have preferences. So I prefer to be in the middle lanes. It just kind of helps me with my like visualization of the race and like getting focus and stuff. And then I was in lane 8 for my final yesterday, and I felt like I was kind of running on my own a bit because I couldn't really see anyone in my vision. And when I see people in my vision, it pushes me a bit more. So, but yeah, like I think it's just preference on what people like, to be honest. So
you can see here Jack Hocking of Birmingham coming through, 50.09 the time. And what a battle towards the end, and that could make a difference potentially. So this then is heat number 4 that we move on to. And it features Conor Lamb of Bristol, David Spence of Leeds Beckett, Mitchell Lawrence of Swansea, Lewis Thorne of Sheffield Hallam, Lucas Fernandez Eroa, and Kevin Metzger, who is on the outside. So live coverage of BUCS Nationals across the 3 days. So you've got the 200 metres tomorrow. Are you doing 200 as well?
yeah, so I've got the 200 metres tomorrow. Yeah, so that's another 3 rounds tomorrow. Hopefully 3, and then the relay final as well. So if we get through to the final, hopefully we will.
And coming into this weekend, do you look at either the 60 or the 200? As you said, you're quite a tall sprinter, as you know, one is your preferred event, perhaps the 200?
Yeah, so my overall favourite event is the 100, but when it comes to indoors, 60 is a bit short for me, so I prefer the 200. So I kind of use the 60 as a warm-up, just to know, like, kind of a reassurance that I'm in shape, I'm running close to my PB, I know I can run one of my fastest times, and then when it comes to the 2, so today's just kind of a good day to rest up, refocus, and get ready for the 2 again tomorrow.
So these men now have their focus on heat number 4. Kevin Metzger on the outside there, more familiar to seeing him as a triple jumper, the England under-23 champion, but he did make the Northern Indoor finalist over 400 metres this year, 48.42. His lifetime best. Decent 100 metre runner as well. So once again, Conor Lamb of Bristol just on the inside, just out of shot. You can see his blocks are ready and set up though. David Spence, Mitchell Lawrence, Lewis Thorne, Lucas Fernandez Eroa, and Kevin Metzger. So heat number 4 of the men's 400 metres. Alex Haydock Wilson, by the way, coming up in heat number 5. So now they get underway with 2 laps of the track here. Lewis Thorne of Sheffield Hallam off to an electric start. Kevin Metzger has a good gap on the outside there. So Thorne and Metzger, these top 2. So just the top spot, automatic qualification, and now Metzger takes the lead and Thorne can't quite respond. So this race having something of a different story to those that we've seen so far. I'll have a look at the time here for Metzger, that lifetime best 48. And can he run through the line? He doesn't need to, of course, but could have got very close to it. Good job done there by Kevin Metzger.
He's the triple jumper, isn't he?
He is, yes. Sometimes you wonder whether two people have the same name, but no, that's definitely Kevin Metzger of Manchester Met, and but just showing some versatility there.
Yeah, definitely. Big difference between triple jump and 400 metres.
I've definitely seen him do 100 metres before, which...
Yeah, he was at British Champs last year outdoors, so I saw him there doing the 100 metres. That was good to watch. Yeah,
and doing pretty well also. I think people often underestimate the speed of some of the field eventers. Obviously, we know on the runway, Lorraine Hugen, for example, Commonwealth champion in the relay. Tiana Bartoletto, obviously a great example of a jumper who's a fantastic sprinter. But some of the other field events too, they often require great speed. I don't know whether anyone else in your training group is a field eventer that's quite quick, or mainly just sprinters.
There's a few jumpers that train with us sometimes just to get that speed, which definitely helps them. So.
Well, that battle for second spot was pretty close. And these are the athletes for heat number 5. So Alex Haydock-Wilson, the top athlete on paper, he's on the inside there. So just give us a sense of what's it like to run on the inside line.
So personally, I don't like lane 1 because it's very tight, and also it's hard to explain when you haven't done it, but it's just a very, very different race compared to lane 6. And I feel like you kind of have to run it differently. Like in lane 6, because you've got more of a steep, you kind of have to push harder up the bend and then relax. But whereas in lane 1, you don't really have to push up a hill, like a bend.
So you haven't got the camber, the banking.
Yeah, the banking. Yeah.
But you have got the tightness of that route. Well, the fastest athlete in the field will have to deal with that in this race. Lifetime best of 46.54. Part of the European indoor squad in Glasgow last year. And European under-23 relay medalist as well for Great Britain. So it looks like there's a DNS in lane 2, no Topi Adie, who featured in the 60 metres for Goldsmith yesterday. We've got Lawrence Skidmore of Manchester, James McClafferty of Strathclyde, Alexander Ford of Exeter, and Yayan Neal of Middlesex. So in coming to a BUCS competition, you travel up together in a team bus or something like that? Or?
Yeah, so we travelled up Friday morning. We left about 7 a.m. just to get here on time. Most of us travel up on the coach together, but sometimes people like to travel up on their own on the day before. Like, it's just personal preference, really. But yeah, we all stay in the same hotel and stuff. Like that, the team managers and chair of athletics at Brunel, they always make sure that we all stay together in a hotel just to have some bonding time.
Yeah,
really
good for the team spirits.
Yeah.
So Alex Haydock-Wilson, and then a gap to Lawrence Skidmore, James McClafferty, Alexander Ford and Yayan Neal in this race. Heat number 5 of the men's 400 metres. 2 laps of the track. Alex Haydock-Wilson has got that inside line to battle with, so interesting to see what sort of tactics he has in this race, particularly as he's got no one in front of him immediately either. So now they get going, and it does push off pretty strongly. Well, that's interesting because one of the athletes pulling out immediately. Anyway, the extra athlete Alexander Ford. So that leaves us with just 4 people, and as expected, it's very easy for Alex Haydock-Wilson. 23 seconds as they come through. A big gap back to the athlete wearing 874. That's James McClafferty of Strathclyde, but very even driving from Alex Haydock-Wilson. You can just see that he's an accomplished 400-metre runner as the Laproban comes through. So huge margin here. 50.17 on the clock. So a bit of a challenge there for Alex, because he had that inside line and he had no one in front of him. So that I suppose made it doubly difficult.
Yeah, for sure. Doesn't look too tired though.
No, I think it was pretty easy. So that means Brunel's David Ryan is coming up in the next heat. So we have another look at Alex Haydock-Wilson. So his tactic in that race was just to push on early and get himself into that lead, no matter of the fact that he was on the inside. So live coverage here of the second day of the BUCS Nationals Athletics here at the English Institute of Sport here in Sheffield. So David Ryan's just there in lane 6 on the outside. What can you tell us about him?
So he represented Ireland last year in the Euro under-20s, I think it was. So yeah, he's Irish. He's in his second year of uni, so this is my second year training with him. He's improved a lot already, so it'll be interesting to see what he runs today. So.
Yeah, quite a few Irish internationals that we've seen. I think Louis Shanahan yesterday in the 800 metres. And does bring opportunity for those of Irish heritage. I suppose coming here to BUCS, by the way, so the Darcy Kuipers, Brunel athlete alongside me, who featured in the 60-metre final yesterday and 100-metre medalist outdoors last year. You know people also from your athletics club, maybe county as well, so lots of familiar faces.
Yeah, so I'm from Kent, so those from Kent are kind of quite familiar with. I've also been competing with some of the sprinters for years, so we know each other from constantly competing against each other. Like there's Paige Fairclough, who we always seem to get put in the same race. So it's quite funny when we're in the call room, it's like, oh, we're in the same race again, and we're very similar at times as well, so it's quite nice to compete with her. And obviously there's a big following on Instagram, all athletes follow athletes, so you see people on Instagram and then it's kind of like, oh, so you're in real life, and then you have a conversation and it's like, oh.
Well, that's, I suppose, the social side of competing.
Yeah, the social side is good.
So, in heat number 6, we've got Scott Gunning of Coventry, Mapesho Mukutuma of Leeds, Jason Nicholson of Northumbria, who was also yesterday in the 60 hurdles, Marcus Levitt of Portsmouth, Adrian Lloyd-Davis of Cardiff Met, and then David Bryan of Brunel. So Jason Nicholson, European Under-18 finalist in 2018. David Ryan in the top 8 based on times overall in terms of PBs of those competing in the men's 400 metres. So automatically just the winner going through, and sometimes it's been pretty comfortable and other times it's been a good battle between the top 2, but definitely get a sense that some athletes just keen to get on with it and win the race. Gunning, Mukutuma, Nicholson, Levitt, Lloyd-Davis and Ryan. Long hold there before they got underway with this race. It's a really good start for Nicholson. 3 rounds of the 60 hurdles yesterday, and now featuring here over 400 metres for Northumbria. Both he and Jasmine Moss, 2 Gateshead Harriers, now competing for Northumbria. So David Ryan looking good out front then from Nicholson. Scott Gunning battling for 3rd place with Adrian Lloyd-Davis of Cardiff Met, who's taken over that position and now trying to chase the top 2. 49.95, and that was a pretty comfortable, a well-judged race from David.
Seemed pretty comfy with that. Could relax at the end as well.
So who's here in terms of coaching supports, providing help for the Brunel team?
So we've got Laura Turner, who's one of the sprint coaches at Brunel,
Yeah,
and
so
then
former GB international.
yeah, and then we're coached. Well, I'm coached by Margaret Adeoye and Linford, but they're both not here unfortunately. But that's all right. They're watching the live stream, so hi if you're watching, Margaret. Yeah, but we're constantly keeping in contact, so good support.
Yeah, Laura Turner-Lane has been managing the Brunel team for a number of years here, and I think she also coaches Holly Mills.
Yeah, she coaches Holly Mills, yeah.
Directly as well, so those two seem to be developing quite a good bond. I think when Laura posted on Instagram last summer that Holly came to her and said she wanted to switch to the heptathlon, and quite often people start as multi-eventers and then begin to specialise, but in this case certainly Holly...
She did it the other way around.
Yeah, did it the other way around, and she's won many competitions as a junior long jumper, including the Commonwealth Youth Games in the Bahamas, and I think European Under-18 as well, but then proving to have great talent, particularly in the hurdles. So while you were setting PBs in the 100 and 200 outdoors, she was smashing her sprint hurdles PB and got a silver medal also.
Yeah, she did really well in the hurdles, and she's constantly improving in the hurdles, so it'll be interesting to see what she does this season as well, because she had such a strong season last year as well. Yeah,
just missed out on a medal in the heptathlon, but there were some very strong competitors in that.
Yeah, and it was her second heptathlon ever, so considering it was her second one, I think that was pretty good.
Yeah, and Maria Vicente of Spain, who eventually took the gold medal, I seem to remember. And they'd actually faced each other indoors in a pentathlon indoor international match earlier last year in Cardiff, in which they drew level on points after 5 events by virtue of Holly Mills' great 800 metres to finish that pentathlon. But then she got a medal in the long jump after that.
Yeah, she's good at long jump as well. So obviously her 2 main events are hurdles and long jump. So she could individual medal in them as well as do them as part of the heptathlon. Competing
here, I think, also in the shot put.
Yeah, she's doing the shot put today. Yeah.
Something Neve Emerson has done here in the past. So perhaps a chance to improve on your weaker events in a field where you might actually be, reasonably strong.
Yeah, for sure. Just have a chance to do. That's a good thing about being a multi-eventer. You have a lot of choice on what events you can do. So
it also means they pick up lots of BUCS points, which is important.
Yeah, that's good as well. Yeah.
Overall, helping the team, which I'm sure something the team managers will be thinking of more than anything. Again, it looks like we have a DNS there, lane 2. So this is heat number 7, unless I've lost count. Matthew Newton of Oxford. Kareem Selman Jackson does appear, so there we go, no DNS. Chris Perry of Manchester Met. Nithipan Vananathan of Kingston. Matt Overall of Chichester, and Noah Friend of Durham. So Matt Overall, lifetime best of 47.90. 6th place last year. So 4 more heats of the men's 400 metres to come. I'll give you some results from the 1500 in a moment's time. Here is heat number 7 though, 2 laps of the track for these men. So watch out for Matt Overall from lane 5, already made good progress up on Noah Friend of Durham. Former BUCS champion for them, Rob Shipley. In the 400 metres. So Matt Overall, BUCS finalist last year. He's from Newton of Oxford. So Matt at the moment at the top. Karima Selman-Jackson in 3rd spot, and then it's the Durham man Noah Friend. So really spread out, but fairly evenly in this one. Manchester Met's Chris Perry in 5th place. So going to come through 49.76, so sub 50 in this race, and that means the athlete finishing 2nd place, I feel, has a very strong chance of being one of those 14 next best times. So 3 heats out of 7 thus far have gone sub 50, but I suppose just times for a heats don't matter too much, as you say, although it could make a difference in lane draw.
Yeah, so it can make a difference in lane draw, but it's quite hard to tell how quick people are going to run, because you've always got to step up. People always step up for the next round, so the semi will be a bit quicker, and then the final will be obviously a lot quicker. So it's it's an idea of what people are running, but then you can't really base anything on the heats.
So as we see here, Matt Overall of Chichester running pretty much right up to the line there, and perhaps trying to give himself a bit of a confidence boost with the time that he clocks. So we're just talking about heptathletes and multi-eventers. Do you have a background in other events as perhaps as a youngster when you first started?
I used to do a bit of long jump, and I've done high jump a few times, but I never really.
So why did you begin to specialise in sprints?
I've just always really been sprinter. So I actually originally did football, and then the team coach was like, "Oh, you're actually quite fast." So I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I did a competition at school, and then my teacher was like, "Oh, you should join this club." So I joined the club, and then I just got into sprinting, and then I just carried it on ever since.
Yeah, teachers often play an important role in encouraging people to actually go out and join clubs.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of a vital thing, because if my teacher never told me to join a club, I don't think I'd ever would join an athletics club. So
yeah, and without joining an athletics club, you wouldn't then get an idea of the sport and what you can qualify for, what you can compete in. So from there, one presumes that this was at schools level, and therefore you maybe first competed locally, and then for maybe for your Kent schools.
Yeah, so probably
mentioned English schools earlier.
One of my first competitions was actually the county schools, so Kent schools, because my teacher was like, "Oh, you should do this competition and see how you do." So I competed, and then I came 2nd, I think, and then I ended up going to the inter-counties, and then I represented Kent, and I didn't really understand what that meant at the time. So it was a good experience, and then obviously after that first year I was kind of like, okay, I can actually run quite fast, so I kind of took more of an interest and started training more, and yeah, so.
And what kept you in the sport at a point where you maybe had either GCSEs or A-levels and studying became quite an important priority? What kept you going at that point? Because that's when a lot of athletes drop out, 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, so I remember it was quite difficult, but I kind of use my training as an escape, just to forget about the exams and school and stuff. It's just kind of nice to focus on something else, and your mind gets taken off of all the school stuff and exam stuff. So it was nice to have a break from revision and stuff.
Brunel's BUCS medalist Darcy Kuipers joining us on this live stream. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. So heat 8 of 10 of the men's 400 metres involves Aidan Leeson of Loughborough on the inside, 47.65, his lifetime best. the Midlands Under-20 indoor champion 3 years ago. Niall Thomas of Chester, Zane Idris of Warwick, Billy Matthews of Cambridge, Richard Arthurs of Glasgow, and Leeds Beckett's Tom Wood. Chester, another university that seems to have a bigger contingent than I've seen before at BUCS, which is always great to see. Aidan Leeson going well on the inside, so again the fastest athlete has the inside line, which is interesting seeding here. So Leeson 49.01 at Lee Valley, and Darcy was saying that this is a better track, this is a more comfortable track, less bumpy one to run on as well. So Billy Matthews in second place for Cambridge. Once again, this is a good battle out front for that all-important top automatic qualifying position here in Sheffield. Aidan Leeson having to run pretty hard to hold off the emerging Cambridge athlete Billy Matthews, who won't quite get there. Very close in the end. I wonder whether Matthews was happy to settle there, 50-30. Again, you'd feel as though being just behind will be good enough. Slight wince as he came through on the camera. So 50.30, and that leaves us with just 2 remaining heats. We're partway through your life story there. But yeah, so you're saying that actually it's a great distraction, or distraction is something else to focus on, to take your mind off studying when you do have athletics to throw yourself into.
Yeah, especially at uni with all the exams and coursework, and sometimes it can get very intense, especially during exam season, so sometimes it's nice just to have a break from sitting in the library all day and just go out and train.
I often wonder though, because BUCS outdoors, comes at a time when often exams are in May.
Yeah, so last year at BUCS I did the 100 and the 200 and the relay, so I was competing pretty much every single day, every few hours, and I had 2 exams the following week, so I had to somehow try and fit revision in between all that, so that was quite difficult. But luckily one of my lecturers is one of the team committee, so he comes to all BUCS and he's always there if we need help, or can help us revise and stuff like that, which is quite nice.
And you study sports science?
Yeah, sports science, yeah.
And so that's something I suppose that benefits from your point of view, having a sports science lecturer.
Yes, for sure. And it helps me understand the sport a lot more as well, like what I'm doing and why my body is doing what it's doing, and how I can improve my body through my course. So it's a good course to do if you're an athlete.
And do you anticipate that this will be your last year? Is it a 1-year Masters that you're currently doing?
Yeah, so it's a 1-year Masters. This is most definitely my final year of BUCS, so yeah.
So you said you were getting emotional about other people setting lifetime best. I'm sure you'll be emotional about your final year at BUCS, particularly when we come to outdoors.
Yeah, possibly. might shed a few tears, but
but some people often come back and just seem to keep returning. For example, I mean, my first year of covering BUCS was 2012, and I think at the outdoors last year we had some athletes who were still involved from 2012, and on that occasion they had the privilege of being in the Olympic Stadium as a test event for the Olympic Games for BUCS, and Jess Judd was involved back then, and I think she has. Oh no, she was actually a BUCS cross country. I've seen.
Yeah, she was. So,
I think that's because she does a part-time study, that elongates the years.
There's Holly Bradshaw as well competing in the pole
Of course,
tomorrow,
yes, another sort of part-time student, sort of throwing herself into that as the opposite to what you're saying, having a course to take your mind off the athletics. But when you are, I suppose, a full-time athlete like Holly is, British pole vault record holder, then that's also quite useful to have something else to do. A number of athletes have a range of pursuits. Emmanuel Sasanya being a part-time model. Erica Kelly, the race walker, is a musician. She plays the harp. So this then is heat number 9 out of 10. Matthew Shea G. Teo, who I'm sure we saw yesterday, perhaps in the 60. So heat features for Leeds. Benjamin Watts of Sussex, Cameron Salter of Exeter, Thomas Baines of Bristol, Callum Lethan of Stirling, and Khalil Bruni of Brunel. So another Brunel athlete, again on the outside this time. Khalil has a few years' experience, I think, competing for Brunel as well.
Yeah, I think he did the 200 a couple of years ago.
So another good battle between three athletes. Again, it's a sort of low 23 seconds as they hit the bell. Here comes Bruni. Good pace being set here. Looks like it's Benjamin Watts following him, and then Cameron Salter of Exeter. So now those gaps beginning to grow between the trio out front here. Decent noise inside the stadium cheering on. And look at that battle. Salter coming through for second place. Could that make any difference? But it's Bruni who's definitely got his spot in the final, and it's 50.09. I think we've had 3 heats that are sub 50 so far. Well, it's a different race to David Ryan's, who sort of had the lead pretty much the entire of it. Bruni had to do it perhaps a slightly harder way.
Yeah, for sure.
Still
got that top spot though.
Yeah. So coming through here and just begins to take the lead with 200 metres to go. So I'll just bring you the results as we watch this replay of who qualified from the women's 1500 metre heat straight through to the final. So Amy Griffiths, Emily Simpson, Kai Malanga, Rosie Johnson, Eloise Walker and Sabrina Senior all made it through automatically. But Chloe Sharp of Kent, Maisie Grice of Birmingham and Isabel Cotton of Liverpool John Moores were the time qualifiers. So this is the last heat of the 400 metres. Do you ever, whenever you're the last heat, do you feel as though you have to wait a while in the call room? Is it a bit more taxing? Would you rather get it underway straight away?
So, to begin with, the start lists aren't always originally put up, so you could be warming up for the first race, and then you see the start list and you're in the last race, and you're kind of like, okay, I need to stop, because you still have probably over an hour until you actually have to be in the call room, and depending on how long your warm-up is, sometimes you just have to stop and then start your warm-up again. Because from the first heat to the last heat there's normally about an hour in between, so
yeah, particularly when you've got 10 heats. So we've got Alexander Thompson, the T38 athlete, so that's a classification covering predominantly athletes with cerebral palsy. Josh Allen of Birmingham, Will Critchley of Liverpool, Alex Kitson of LSE, Joseph Hubbock of East London and Sam Day of Cambridge. So these guys have had to wait until the end to get their 400 metre competition underway. Just the heats of the 400 today. Semi-finals coming up tomorrow. So Thompson, Allen, Critchley, Kitson, Hubbock and Day. So these 6 athletes then call to their marks, and 14 time qualifying spots available behind the winner of this heat. Well, we have seen some good battles, even though it's only round 1. Good start here for Will Critchley of Liverpool. Sam Day of Cambridge. Those two vests now, Cambridge and UAL, do look quite similar. So Hubbock of East London from Day of Cambridge, and then Allen of Birmingham and Critchley of Liverpool. So Allen now on the outside, but it's Day who actually makes the move first of all, and Birmingham man beginning to follow him through. So has Hubbock got anything left to respond with? Trying to follow his UEL teammate Emmanuel Sasanya through. There's no space on the inside, and Hubbock beginning to tire now, but just look at Allen coming through right at the end. Well, that's the closest that we've seen so far, 51.04, so not one of the quickest heats, so I suppose that winning spot could be all important. We're interested to see a replay of that race, because they were all in contention, the top three. So have another look at this last lap, and the athlete who's now in third place, Josh Allen of Birmingham. It's all about the timing in these situations, I suppose. So Allen now on the back straight. Sam Day thinks he's timing this one really well. So Day now in front for Cambridge from Allen. And then UEL's Joseph Hubbock. Well, you must face some pretty close margins when it comes to qualifying as well. Sometimes on the wrong side and sometimes on the right side, I imagine.
So in my semi yesterday, actually, it was very, very close, and we didn't know who got it. It was kind of like anticipation to see like who got first or second, because obviously it was top to qualify for the final, and also it's like lane draw and everything as well. So if you come first in your semi, you get a better lane draw in the final. So it was kind of like waiting to find out if I got that win or a second, and she just picked me. So unfortunately I got put in lane 8, but yeah, it could be very, very close, and also it can be the difference between if you get into the final or not. So
yeah, so you then face the wait to see if you got in the final.
Yeah, so I had to wait around, but luckily they read it out, so I knew I was in the final. But if I didn't hear that, they took quite a while to put up the results, so I wouldn't have known I was in the final, but luckily I heard. So
do you feel that when it's close, you often know, you get a sense that you might have just picked?
Yeah, so normally when I run an okay time, I kind of feel like I have, so I kind of had an idea. And also when I was in the third of like the fourth semi, so I kind of saw the other races and I could kind of see from what times they ran to see if I would get into the final.
Do you think that's an important part preparing for your race? Because I know some athletes just would get out there and not look at any of that stuff, but it does, I suppose, particularly in a middle distance race, having a sense could make a difference.
Yeah, I think it's just personal preference again, but I think it's more ideal in like a longer distance, because they can see what kind of time they need to run in order to qualify. Especially when you're running such a long distance, you don't want to run a ridiculously quick time when you don't have to. You just want to qualify.
So we will have 8 heats, by the way, of the women's 400 metres coming up. So just tell you who qualified from the men's 1500. So automatically, Mohammed, James Habigam, Jordan Woods, John Howarth, Gruen, Faulkner, Keane, Jones and Rory Howarth. That's Max Jones, by the way. James Hannigan, Remy Adebayi, Alfred Yabsley, David Sheldon, Joseph Tubbin and Thomas Fulton. The time qualifiers, just 3 of them from the 5 heats, were Ricky Lutakomi. He did get there in the end as we expected. Jax Cunningham Marsh and Andrew Milligan of Durham. Right, so ready for some women's 400 metres. And so just looking here, Linnea, I think it's Linnea Schillander.
Yeah, Linnea, yeah.
Yeah, so Swedish athlete who's also involved in coached by Linford.
Yeah, so she's coached by Linford as well. Yeah, her and Louise are training partners, so they're very familiar with each other. So.
And then, so Linaire goes in heat 7 and Louise Evans in heat number 8. And incidentally, so top 2 going through and then next 2 best times. So qualification is, would you say, easier for these women, even though there are only 2 time spots available?
Yeah, so top 2 is definitely a lot less, I feel like it's less pressure than just the top 1, because you can kind of ease off if you're second as well as first, so you don't have to, again, use all your energy in a heat.
You might also have someone who's extremely quick and be very difficult to beat, and so that's a...
Yeah, exactly. I'm not quite sure how they work out the seeding for races, but sometimes it's quite good.
So other internationals in this one, Nessa Nier of Loughborough, 400 metre hurdler, Irish international. Hannah Kelly also. And of course Louise Evans, who won the European Under-20 4x400 metre relay title. So we've got a 9-minute break until the next race. So just a bit of a break for you here from the commentary, and we'll be back with the women's 400 metres. So 8 heats of the women's 400 metres about to get underway. And well, this could be quite an exciting final. I tend to think some of the 4s and the 8s can be some of the best finals indoors, particularly when everyone comes through with 1 lap to go and there's a lot of pace to burn when it's been a slow opening lap. So Zoe Pollock of Loughborough in this one, Naomi Newman of Oxford Brookes, Emily Bucor-Ingram of King's College London, Faith Cox of Canterbury Christchurch, Teresa Yanatelli of Cardiff, and Fionn Mayer-Roberts of Cardiff Met. So Louise Evans is the fastest in the competition on paper, 53.44. And Natasha Harrison, someone else who also won the European under 20 4x4 relay with her, and Natasha Harrison they had on the first leg of the run for Great Britain.
Qualification through to the semi-final.
Linnea Schillander,
Later on today, the first 2.
54.05 her best. So there are 2 women in this field who are sub 54 seconds. So they are by quite some margin the fastest in this field. I should check actually that Harrison is on the start list, because that Louise Evans definitely is. Just looking through, because they do sometimes change. I don't think Natasha Harrison is down in fact.
She might be doing the 200. I'm pretty sure I saw her down for the 200.
That's interesting. And BUCS is sometimes, often I feel, for some athletes to just test out in different events.
Yeah, and it's also indoors isn't really important to everyone, so sometimes it's nice to try out a different event or do another event just to help you with your training. Some people do it just for training purposes. So
Zoe Pollock, Naomi Newman, Emily Bucor-Ingram, Faith Cox, Teresa Yanatelli and Fionn Mayer-Roberts. So pretty even start. And looks like from lane 3 that's Emily Bucor-Ingram who pushed on, and then that's Zoe Pollock right on the inside, who steps on the gas a bit. Tight inside line. So now moving past those yellow cones. Roberts of Cardiff Met from Pollock of Loughborough. Top 2 going through automatically. Darcy was saying that you can perhaps feel less pressure in those situations when you know you can be inside the top 2 rather than just the winner. So Pollock now beginning to pull away. She was the one who dealt with that tight inside line, and now she crosses the line first. 56.28. Well, it seems to me also that a number of the athletes coming to BUCS don't have that much experience of running indoors.
Yeah, it's kind of a good experience when you're like just kind of starting out at athletics, because it's quite a big competition. It's very important to like quite a few athletes. So when you're quite new to the sport and like big competitions, it's just a good experience, just to experience like good quality races.
Well, of course, no World Indoor Championships this year, certainly, which were scheduled to be in China but have been postponed because of the outbreak of coronavirus in the Far East. Will you be taking part in the trials?
So I got
no longer trials, it's British Indoor Championships.
I got invited, but I don't think I'm going to go. I think just because where I'm doing the 60 and the 200 this weekend, I think I'm just going to be too tired to then do another 60 and a 200 next weekend. So, and it's also quite far away, like Glasgow, whereas it's normally in Birmingham. So I don't think I'm going to.
It's a really important point, though, whether it will impact participation, because you've got the fact that both you don't have the World Indoors to qualify for, and the fact that it is in Glasgow. I mean, it's local for Scottish athletes, of course, and there is a very strong contingent of Scottish athletes right now in the Great Britain team, but we could see some very unusual British champions, certainly.
Yeah, but it gives other people an opportunity, I guess, as well, to final, get those medals, and it'd just be nice to see like new upcoming people as well as some other people as well.
Some of the more established names.
Yeah.
I mean, the 200, of course, isn't a major championship distance as well indoors.
Yeah, so not many people actually do the 200 because it's not an event at like the world champs and stuff, so it's quite nice to see. It also gives other people an opportunity to become like British champion and stuff as well.
Yeah, and I think Connor Wood and Hayley Mills, reigning British champions in the 200 metres. Hayley Mills, someone I suppose you might have competed against at BUCS in the past, because she's had this sort of reincarnation, if you will.
Yeah, so especially last year when she did the 60 and the 200, I did the 60 and the 200, and we were both in the final together, where she got the championship record in the 2 as well. So that was good to be in that race as well, where a championship best record was run, as well as yesterday when the 60, the championship best record was run in the 60, and it was just good to be in races where records are set. So
because it may mean that it's a PB for you, it may mean that you're pushed to a better time.
Yeah, definitely pushes me.
So heat number 2, Rachel Laurie, one of only 5 athletes in this lineup. In fact, all lanes are being used in only 3 out of 8 heats. So Rachel Laurie of Stirling, Nessa Mie of Loughborough, Siobhan Benson of Liverpool, Heather Carson of Sheffield, and Annabelle Wright of Leeds. Nessa Mie used to sing over the hurdles, but plenty of experience for Loughborough at the 400 indoors. 54.20 her lifetime best. European Under-20 semi-finalist back in 2013, but more recently made her senior Irish international debut at the European Team Championships last year, along with her sister Ruby, the reigning Irish 400 metre champion. So a strong contingent from Ireland, but Nessa Mie with lots of experience in the colours of Loughborough, in the days of Jess Turner as well, Jessie Knight. So Mie looking good over the flat here too, and it's clear what her intentions are. Qualify as simply as possible, make it an easy job. Heather Carson of Sheffield then in second place. That's Siobhan Benson of Liverpool, it looks like, in third. So now Nessa Mie has already done most of the hard work, and she's well clear and can perhaps ease off a little now, just looking over her shoulder, and she'll be pretty pleased that the job is pretty much done. Signed, sealed, delivered. Nessa Mie 57.56. Bit of a tape over the knee there, so maybe just managing a bit of a knock, but she's got Loughborough University tape. That's quite impressive. I wonder if Loughborough are the only uni with their own branded tape.
I haven't seen any other unis with it, so most likely.
Well, maybe you think that's a little bit pretentious, but as we say, healthy rivalries between the top universities. Kirsten McCaslin, I think, had similar case at the outdoors last year. She'd been managing a knee injury picked up in warm weather training, and as a result only took part in the 4x4 relay rather than the individual. McCaslin, another one that's moved to Loughborough, having won for Bath in 2015, beating the likes of Lavia Nielsen that year. Amy Alcock, though, holds the championship record here, 53.19, also from 2015. Amy Alcock, a good example of someone who was dominant at British University's level. Did your times come together? No, Amy was more of a 400 metre runner, but one of those that seemed to win BUCS gold year after year.
Yeah, I think she might have. I kind of seem to remember her competing in like my first year, I think it was. Just from seeing her in the 4. But I don't think I've ever really raced her over a short distance. I think I've raced her over 100 metres actually, I think like once or twice. But
yeah, someone who does work on her speed over 260 certainly on the odd occasion. But also a good example of someone who was very good at BUCS level, and like Cameron Chalmers also, who then sort of fighting to get a British international spot. And Amy, I think she said that she got to a stage where she's having to consider what to do next in the sport, when she comes to the point where she's finished studying and chooses to, she has to try and make money or become an athlete and decide what to do. And making the British team for the 4x4 relay, I think, was first of all the World Indoors was a key step. And she still holds the championship record from 5 years ago, but we saw 2 championship records go yesterday, so that was pretty exciting, I suppose. From your point of view, you were part of that race.
Yeah,
and it was a quick one.
Yeah, it was very quick. I think I was surprised at the time when I saw it myself, and then I think the winner was even more surprised because I raced her at Southern Champs as well, and she was running like 7.4s, like a PB was 7.4, and then all of a sudden in the final she ran this 7, I think it was 2.8.
2.8, yes.
Yeah, and I felt emotional for her because it's an achievement to run that, especially like that's quite a big PB in a 60 metres as well when it's such a short distance. So.
Heat number 3. No lane 1 athlete this time around, so no one has to deal with the tightest of all the inside lines. Ellie Wilson of Glasgow, Hannah Smith of Exeter, Cardiff Met's Ciara Deely, Megan Ashleby of Sheffield Hallam, and Charlotte Stamp of Leeds Beckett. So pretty even from the get-go. Deely going well, the 19-year-old, another Irish international, this time at junior level. 54.33 her lifetime best, 55.14 indoors. PB from 2018, and she won the Irish under-20 outdoor gold medal. So Deely looking pretty good. Charlotte Stamp of Leeds Beckett in second. It's another 3-way battle with Megan Ashleby of Sheffield Hallam in third. Good noise inside the stadium for the heats. Plenty of athletes watching on here. Here comes Deely of Cardiff Met. But Stamp of Leeds Beckett is just going to have enough to take it on the line, but doesn't matter too much. They're both inside the top 2. 57.45. It's Ashleby who just misses out in third spot. Well, slightly different to some of the races that we've seen so far, where the athlete who chooses to push on actually overtaken in the final stages. But I just wonder whether she knew that she was in the top 2 and had done enough already.
Yeah, sometimes you see athletes kind of looking around to see where they are, but she just seemed to run, not really bother.
So Dealey out front at this stage. Charlotte Stamp just managing that gap, and Ashleby seeing those two squabbling in front of her. Just wanted to get as close as possible because there's only 2 of those non-automatic spots available. Well, that heat was a 1/10 of a second faster than the second one, but the first one was the fastest of all. So that could well be where the time qualifier comes from, or certainly those in pole spot to make it there, the proverbial hot seat. So I think in the men's 60 metres it came down to even finer fractions of a second than we've normally got written down, so more than 2 decimal places and thousandths of a second. I suppose in that situation where you miss out must be very, very tough to take.
Yeah, so with such a short distance, it's quite often that people literally just pit people on the line and just dip that little bit extra. So sometimes it can be very frustrating when you're the person who gets dipped. So like last year in the 200 metres I came 4th because the girl kind of just dipped me on the line, and it's kind of like I thought I had it, then all of a sudden I didn't. So over the short distance it can be very frustrating, but then you've just got to think, you've just got to run your hardest. You can't slack at all over 60 metres or 200 or even 400 metres. It's just, yeah, it's frustrating, but it happens.
I suppose in 400 metres, if you make a slight mistake, you might have time to make up for it.
Yeah. Whereas in 60 metres, the race is pretty much done when it starts.
So this is heat number 4 of 8, and we've got Bethany Alexander of Stirling, Annie Geiger of Cambridge, Hannah Brown of East Anglia, Lucy Mills of Edge Hill University, Durham's Georgia Walsh, and Hannah Kelly, the Birmingham runner. Used to seeing her over 200 metres, so interesting to see whether she doubles up. Plenty of opportunity to, with the 200 all being tomorrow, but I suppose that could potentially mean that you have 3 rounds of 200 metres and 2 of 4 tomorrow, so 5 races in one day. That could be tough.
Yeah, and then possibly the relay as well if they decide to do the relay, so that would be quite intense if they chose to do that.
So Alexander, Geiger, Brown, Mills, Walsh and Kelly, the tall athlete on the outside. Watch out for her. As I say, running a longer distance than which we're used to seeing her race. So heat number 4 of 8, and Hannah Kelly has made a lightning start on the outside and can relax as the banking falls down on this track, and then push on, continuing to do so. Lightning work from Hannah Kelly. Well, the fastest time we've seen so far, 56.28, and she has to remember that there's still another 200 metres to go here. So around 26 seconds when she hit the bell, and will just begin to relax now, I think you can see. Well, interesting to see what the sort of mentality of the 200 metre runner doing the 4 here, but someone of international pedigree. Hannah Kelly now beginning to fight here. And really beginning to tire across the line there. Well, 58.98 was Darcy, as someone who is used to running 200 metres, I think you can understand how that race went from Hannah Kelly's point of view, but she did try really hard to win it from the 200 metre point.
So I think when you're a 200 metre runner, you're so used to running a lap. I feel like she did the same, where she knew she could run a lap, and then all of a sudden she's not used to doing that extra bit of endurance, muscular endurance training, that it probably just hit her. So.
But it seemed as though her tactic was, I'm just going to do the 200.
Yeah.
I know my quality over 200 is going to be so much better than anyone else.
yeah, I feel like any 200 metre runner would really be the same.
Because otherwise you're maybe doing nothing that you're used to if it ends up being quite a tactical race.
Yeah, I mean, she's still top 2, so I don't know if she did that on purpose or she qualified, so.
Yeah, that's the thing. She has qualified. Do you think it's more difficult for a taller runner to be on the tight inside lane?
Personally, I think it is. So, I think it's just personal preference, like whatever you prefer to do.
So that leaves us with 4 more heats remaining. And Hannah Kelly really fighting to get to the end, but she has done so. It'll be interesting to see whether she does do the 200 metres as well, her favourite event. I suspect she may well do so. At least she's got the opportunity now that she can choose what she wants to do having qualified.
Yeah, that's true.
An announcer in the stadium just letting someone know that they need to move their car. I often find that's a mark of being at BUCS. You have the excitement of the races and then an announcement of which toilets to use. So we now know who's qualified from the men's 400 metres. And I'll just read out the time qualifiers because there are quite a few of them. So Joseph Milton of Durham, Adrian Lloyd-Davis of Cardiff Met, Leeds Beckett's Tom Wood, Thomas Baines of Bristol, well, there was a printing error actually on the men's 400 metres because it did say that it was the next 14 time qualifiers, but that just sounds wrong. So it was only the 4 in the end, so it was tougher than we thought, but that all begins to make sense. So apologies for that confusion. Anyway, on to heat number 5. And Manchester's Sakura Grimm just on the inside there. Esther Adikpe of Cardiff, Katie Brabin of Brighton, Emily Strickland of Newcastle, Erin Minton Bradford even of Hull, Ella Falk of Queen Mary. So once again 6 athletes in this one just to the left of the camera and one making her way back to the start. So 4 more heats remaining. Looks like Isabel Boffey, actually, the 800 metre champion, is going to do the 400 metres here. So again, that'll be interesting to see. And 2 Birmingham teammates, one a 200 metre runner and one an 800, both joining up over the 4. And they are the only 2 Birmingham athletes in this field. So I suppose Birmingham does have a big staple of middle distance runners, so giving someone else a chance over 800. And Boffey is a decent 400 runner and did win the title along with Natasha Harrison and Louise Evans at the European Under-20s. So Grimm, Adikpe, Brabin, Strickland, Minton, Bradford and Falk, heat 5 of the women's 400 metres. So Adikpe there from lane 2 in the red of Cardiff and black shorts. So navigating this field and moving up past 2 athletes on her outside, make that 3 as Ella Falk nearly overtaken, but now comes back into contention as Adikpe just gets there. And on to the second lap now for Adikpe. Motors away again. Opportunity for her to take a breather in this last 100 metres. Falk now overtaken. So a change as far as the top 2 are concerned, but Esther Adikpe is out front and unchallenged. As she comes through in 56.05. So pretty much held her form to the line to record, I think, the fastest time that we've seen so far, in fact. 56.06 given as the official time. Didn't make a note of Hannah Kelly's time earlier, in fact, or when she was just picked. So Esther Adikpe looking very strong. I'm sure there's more to come from her. And that leaves us with 3 heats to come. So just look at the last 200 metres. And she just kind of stamped her authority by getting to that line first with 200 to go. But Ella Falk was, I think, beginning to tire at that stage, and she was overtaken by, I think it was Emily Strickland of Newcastle that we see come through. Oh no, it's Strickland that's in 4th place at this stage. So Adikpe of Cardiff out front. Looks like 169 Erin Minton Bradford of Hull. So Isabel Buffy on the outside then. And, well, how do you think an 800 metre runner might approach a 400 then, after we've seen Hannah Kelly?
I think it possibly could be easier for an 800 metre compared to a 200 metre runner, because obviously you're used to running further, but then again with an 800 you still have to run your 400 metre splits pretty quick. So I feel like Izzy Buffy is definitely doing the 400s just to improve on those split times for 8. And obviously I've seen her compete. I saw her compete at the Europeans of Louise, because I was watching Louise, and she is a good 400 metre runner. So
yeah, she's always been one that the stronger and more powerful runners of her age group at 800 metres, and also she's been very successful indoors, winning a number of consecutive age group indoor titles here in Sheffield, in fact. And she has got the outside line. I think Hannah Kelly had that as well, so good opportunity for her to push on and run her own race. So Great Britain winning that title over both the men's and women's under 2800 metres. In fact, having a 1-2-3 over the men's 800. And Max Bergen, who'd been the fastest ranked in the world with that, I think it was a 1:45.3. Set at Bedford at the age group championships. Wasn't even there, unfortunately, picking up an injury, but it was Ben Patterson who was headed home by Oliver Dustin, who took the gold medal, and Finlay McClear taking the bronze. So that was particularly exciting to get a British 1-2-3, and then Isabel Buffy in the women's 800 metres, and then part of the 4x4 relay. I think they actually used 7 athletes a total, so they were able to put in 3 runners on the heat. Devari Gay, Maisie Snaith and Amber Anning, along with Evans, Buffy and Harrison. So Niamh Grimes of Leeds Beckett, Lana Culliford of Bath, Jessica Shepherd of Nottingham, Hannah Mulholland of Liverpool John Moores, and Buffy of Birmingham on the outside. So Buffy with a 800 metre lifetime best of 2 minutes 2.94. Looks set to dominate this one already, and she should have the endurance to hold on. As Darcy was saying, that over 800 metres you still have to have decent 400 metre splits. Of course, the race can pan out very differently depending on the tactics deployed and the others in the race. But Buffy, head shaking from side to side, her stride which you're very much used to seeing, and her quality which is shown time and time again Lana Colour for the Bath in second place, but some distance as the length of your screen then separating the top two. So here comes Isabel Boffey, and less distance than she's used to running, so plenty of time to ease up over the line, and it's going to be sub 56 seconds, so 55.87. So, well, as you said earlier, Dusty, it's difficult to read into these times, but you would think that Isabel Boffey, with that performance, is establishing herself as a gold medal contender.
Yeah, definitely, and she eased up as well over the line. You could see her looking back she knew she had the first qualifying space, so she definitely eased up a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what she runs in the next couple of rounds.
Yeah, 55.8, a decent time. And we'll wait and see what Louise Evans can manage in the final heat. Just 2 more to come. So 200 metres, 800 metre runners, and some hurdlers also. Going to see Emily Craig, who got the silver medal at BUCS Outdoors last year. But if you saw the 400 metre, women's 400 metres at BUCS last year, but it was particularly eventful anyway. Anna Nelson of Loughborough clattered a hurdle coming down the home straight, and Lauren Williams was in the lead at that point, and maybe affected by Nelson alongside, and just began to tire at that point. And then you had 2 athletes who were way back who closed in, and one just pipped the other, Mae Thompson.
Yeah, I remember that.
Particular carnage. So Linnea Shalanda of Brunel, Hannah Malpass of Newcastle, Emily Craig of Strathclyde, Samantha Baker-Jones of Nottingham, and Megan Rowe of Leicester. So Linnea Commander, the Swedish bronze medalist, 54.05, her lifetime best, 56.41 indoors. Hannah Malpass alongside her, then Emily Craig, as I said, the Scot who is the BUCS Outdoors silver medalist over 400 metre hurdles. We've already seen Nessa Mie, the hurdler, qualify. Mari Patience, another who's won medals in the past outdoors over the hurdles and indoors in the flats. Bronze a few years ago for Strathclyde indeed, which Craig now runs for. So this is the penultimate heat of the women's 400 metres. 2 laps of the track, top 2 going through automatically, and 2 time qualifier spots available after that. Let's see what these women can manage here. Just 5 athletes in this one once again, with lane 1 not being used. Shalanda, Malpass, Craig, Baker-Jones and Rowe. So Brunel, Newcastle, Strathclyde, Nottingham and Leicester in this one. Louise Evans to come in the final heat. But her teammate, the Swede, moving through very nicely here. So 54.05, her best from 2019. She comes through the bell in low 25 seconds. and just looking very confident out front. Looks like Hannah Malpass of Newcastle is in second place. Following her is Emily Craig. So looking good out there in front.
Yeah. She, I think she was a 200 metre runner, and then she changed to 400 metres last year. So she's just really getting into 400 metre races now. So it'll be interesting to see what she ends up running.
So it's 57.18. So not taking too much analysis when looking at the times from only the heats, but we've had one sub 56 and then another 56.28 in the first heat, and then we've had two 56 times and then three 57s. So I think this is the fourth fastest of the 7. So very comfortable qualification for her, Linnea Schillander. And just wait and see who makes it out of the second spot between Emily Craig and Hannah Malpass. See if we get a view actually. Was Emily Craig in the end. So that was pretty important. Malpass was in second place for a long time. Well, Darcy, so Louise Evans comes in here. Just the heat, her first day of competition as far as she's concerned. How do you think she'll approach this race?
So I think she's excited, because I had dinner with her last night, a group of us, and she seemed pretty excited to go into it. It's her first BUCS and stuff, so I think it would just be interesting to see what she achieves at those championships.
So did you give her any advice on her first BUCS?
Well, she's done Europeans and stuff like that, so I don't think she really needed much advice, to be honest, but I think she's quite calm and excited, but calm, and she knows what she can do. So
that's true. I'm sure she has plenty of confidence in her ability and will enjoy being part of the team, just as she was in Sweden last year, those European under-20s. So she was also 7th in the individual. Season's best of 55.49 at Lee Valley. .53.40 for her outright lifetime best. The full lineup though: Manchester's Bronwyn Reid on the inside, using lane number 2. Zoe Benton of Exeter, Elizabeth McMahon of Sheffield, Katie Robbins of Swansea, and then Louise Evans of Brunel. And well, across these 8 heats there have more or less been some clear favourites, and some of those races have gone to form. Others have been good battles right till the end. So Louise Evans, new to BUCS this year, in the colours of Brunel. On her inside, Robbins, then McMahon, Benton and Reid. So this is heat number 8 of 8 of the women's 400 metres. Once again a great start. Louise Evans underway on the far side, and looks like Zoe Benton of Exeter is going well. Up on McMahon of Sheffield. Good battle further back, of course, top 2 going through automatically. Let's see as they come through, the stagger begins to unwind. Louise Evans hits the bell. High 25 seconds there. Now that's just taking a step away from the inside there. having to run the tightest path. Katie Robbins some way back, but in that second spot it's going to be a good battle over who will join Louise Evans through to the 400-metre semi-finals. Looks like Zoe Benton of Exeter is coming in front. We'll confirm that in a second as Louise Evans strolls through the line in 57.45. Well, it's Bonwen Reid of Manchester who takes that second spot. But once again, that was quite straightforward, wasn't it, for Louise?
Yeah, she looks like she's got a lot more in the tank as well, so it'll be exciting to see what she does tomorrow in the semi.
You can see there, it looked like I mentioned she was trying to go away from the tightest possible inside line.
Yeah, just trying to stay away from that inner lane.
So there will be 2 time qualifiers, only 2 from across these 8 heats. And well, Darcy, there's so much to look forward to, particularly finals day tomorrow. You'll be competing in the 200s.
Yeah.
And anything in particular that you're looking forward to across the weekend, both, I suppose, let's say away from a personal perspective first of all, because you're here to watch as well?
Yeah, I think I'm competing tomorrow as well, but I think tomorrow is probably one of the most exciting days because it is the day of a lot of finals. So in between my races, it'll be exciting to watch other people do well as well. When other people do well, it kind of makes you want to do well as well. So it can inspire you to do well yourself. And then obviously it's exciting doing the relays. Like I'm doing the relay myself, but also the men's relay and stuff. Like it'll be exciting because everyone gets involved and there's a lot of excitement around it. So tomorrow will be a fun day.
Well, thanks very much for giving us some insight, Darcy Kuipers, on what it's like to be part of a BUCS team and indeed your own journey in the sport.
Yeah,
and hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
representing Birmingham University, Daniel Moore. In 4, representing St Mary's, Mitchell Potts. In 5, representing Brunel, Alan Dobbs. And completing the lineup, representing Sheffield University, the 2020 Golden Eagle Senior Champion, the finals here last year, Harry Russell. Championship best in this next 800, 2011, by London Street, by Lemon, 1:48:58.
So semi-finals then of the men's 800 metres, and this the first one. Callum Dodds impressed yesterday, winning his heat quite comfortably. Someone who's accomplished over both 400 and 8, part of the European under-20 squad last year for Great Britain, similar to Louise Evans in fact, along with the likes of Lewis Davey and Ethan Brown. Callum Dodds, lifetime best of 1:47.77. Indoor best very close to that, 1:47.79 in Lee Valley last month. So 2 laps to go, 55.61. So evenly spread out here so far. Mitchell Cox of St Mary's now moving up into second position. So Dodds, Harry Russell of Sheffield behind the Brunel athlete, and Mitchell Cox on the outside between them. Callum Dodds of Brunel though in the navy blue, still just about leading. Look at Harry Russell, who was dominant in his heat. Now the one on the outside, so Dodds from Russell from Cox. 1:53.04. So Callum Dodds is the one who qualifies automatically through to that final. 1:53.07 is in fact the official time now given.
So the second of 3 seconds, next 800 in lane 1, representing Sheffield Allen, will be Jack Benstead, the reigning England outdoor champion. In 2, representing Mascot Race, the Golden Under-20 indoor 1500 metre bronze medalist this year, Also to run from in lane 3 will be Sun Papa. In 4, representing Liverpool, John Moores, who is the final of the BUCS at Bedford, Tim Crawford. In 5, representing St Mary's University, in Soldier is here last year, Tom Randolph. And in lane 6, representing Chichester University, and in a very quick beat, Joe Morrison. Semi-final 2 or 3, men's 800.
So the second semi-final of the men's 800 metres. Channon Crawken in this one, the tall figure in the light blue, and the Liverpool John Moores, the Northern 1500 metres silver medalist, and then Randolph of St Mary's on the outside, impressed in his heat. Crawken leading here in the early stages. Chester's Joe Morrison just on the outside there. Two Loughborough athletes in this one, Luke Farrant and Simon Coppard just towards the back. So Jack Benstead of Sheffield Hallam, the other athlete in this. Apologies, haven't got the start list for this one, so just figuring them out by numbers one by one. And there are over 1,000 athletes to search through the long list. But Channon Crawken leads from Tom Randolph and Joe Morrison. Those are the top three. Pretty evenly matched so far, and Randolph looking to push on, Morrison in behind. So 1:22.92 at the bell. 150 metres to go now. Crawken with the pedigree as far as the Northern region is concerned. But Randolph now into the top bend and looking very strong. Randolph, Crawken, Morrison. Randolph is the one who qualifies automatically to the final in 1:51.21 after 4 hard laps of racing. And Crawken just collapses to the ground, and so faster than the first semi-final. Two women's semi-finals will follow these men's, but as we look at again at Crawken leading at this stage with less than 200 to go on the final lap, and Randolph now begins to change pace a bit. And Randolph doesn't look back at this point, the man in the blue and white stripes of St Mary's, another university with great middle distance stock. I hope you're enjoying the coverage here of BUCS Nationals. Hashtag BUCS Nationals on social media. Try and keep an eye out for any shout outs for any teammates or friends that you're cheering on today.
Lifetime
Well, another who impressed in the heats was Tom Dodd of Birmingham, who goes on the outside there in lane 6 in the red vest. On his inside is Sam Edwards of Nottingham. Dan Meese of Kent also looks to be in this one. So Tom Dodd, 1:48.84, his lifetime best outright. England under 23 1500 metre finalist last year, but seemed to be pushing on here. It was actually his indoor track debut on which he set a best of 1:51. We'll try and beat here 7 the BUCS cross country as well a couple of years ago. He's one of the fastest athletes in the competition as well, 1:49.84, his best. Southern Indoor bronze medalist. So looks like 2 Kent athletes in this. That's Charlie Wiley. So Edwards of Nottingham, Meese of Kent, Dodd of Birmingham, Wiley of Kent. Andrew Milligan just being overtaken there by Ted Chamberlain of Exeter, and Milligan, of course, who has qualified for the semi-finals of the 1500 metres later on. Always thought it would be tough. He'd managed the first few races well, but here comes Tom Dodd now, managing this semi-final well, just as he did in the heat, coming through and starting to dominate. Daniel Meese, though, a tough athlete to beat. Exactly a second separates them on outdoor lifetime best, but here is Tom Dodd for Birmingham. Tom Dodd, huffing and puffing, really keen to get to the line with a decent time, 1:52.20 for Dodd. And he is the man who goes through automatically to that final. So job well done, hands on hips. It was always going to be difficult for Milligan to double up over both 8 and 1500 metres with potentially 3 races today. Well, he will have 3 races today. But Dodd, the hungrier of the 3 at this stage, and with the pace left to burn over the 200. Pace being set there on the treadmill in the gym, by the way. What a good view of these BUCS Indoor Athletics Championships. We'll keep an eye on the gym throughout the competition. So 2 women's semi-finals to come, and that means they're packed full of talent. Well, Isabel Buffy choosing to concentrate on the 400 metres. Incidentally, a little bit of a surprise to only have the 2 semi-finals, but we have Laura Mullen of Bath on the inside, Alex Mundell of Imperial, Loughborough's Emma Alderson, another who's decent over 400 metres, and commented yesterday that it seemed as though that was becoming her favoured distance. BUCS outdoor bronze medalist, jointly with Laura Turley. They couldn't be separated outdoors over 400, so both were given medals. A lifetime best Alderson has outright at 2 minutes 8.31. But I seem to remember Alderson against Boffey in a under-17 England national race at Bedford a couple of years ago, and Alderson led out ferocious pace in the first 400 metres, and it's clear then that she's accomplished over both distances. and as a result she made the race a particularly fast time, and I think that ended up being a competition record for the winner, which was Katie Ann McDonald 4 years ago in a 2 minutes 5 race. Unfortunately for Alderson, she couldn't hold on to a top spot in that final. So this is her first year as an under 23, the Liverpool Harrier, so effectively making that transition from junior to senior. Alongside her, Emily Jenkinson of Swansea, Louise Shanahan of Cambridge, definitely also one to watch out for. In 2016 she made the semi-finals of the World Indoor Championships over 800 metres for Ireland. Lifetime best in Belfast last summer of 2:04.77, and then Saskia Huxham of Durham, who was the fastest qualifier from this particular heat, or as far as this heat is concerned, I should say. Had a breather midway through the base, but got back on the accelerator. The fastest qualifier overall was Tamsin McGraw of Sheffield Hallam, 2:15.49, but all of these women capable of going quite significantly quicker, including Isabel Ives as well, the number one ranked athlete, you might say, 2:04.46 her PB. So Mullen of Bath has this early lead from Shanahan, the Irish international in the vest of Cambridge, and then at leg number 4, well, that's Emily Jenkinson of Swansea. Saskia Huxham with the long yellow socks. .66.64 through the opening 400 metres. Doesn't look like they pushed on going into the second. Saskia Huxham certainly capable of leading this one. So you can see the different tactics from the heat versus the semi-final. Huxham knew that the heat perhaps would be comfortable for her, but semi-final more of a battle, so just not playing all the cards at once. So Laura Mullen now hits the bell. Can she time this one right? Doesn't want to go off too hard with still 200 metres and a bit less remaining, but naturally there's a queue of athletes wanting to come through, and Louise Shanahan is one of them. Huscombe and Alderson now. So Shanahan and Alderson, who are pretty much exactly the same height, going toe-to-toe, occupying the same piece of track, but Shanahan showing quality. Here comes Huxham though, right at the end, so those will be the top two that qualify automatically, and Alderson just ran out of it. 2:13.24. So Louise Shanahan, the Irish Universities champion there, taking that semi-final. 2:13.24, you can see they're showing track side. That was the first semi-final of 2 of the women's 800 metres. So Mullen, our early and long-time leader, in fact, just had a queue of people with pace to burn. And then Shanahan and Alderson at this point battling. Huxham has both of them in her sights, and unstoppable down that home straight. Shanahan had got too far clear by that point, but it's okay because he's inside the top 2. Of course, lane draw could still play a part. This is the second of just 2 semi-finals. And the lineup then: Oxford's Eliska Freiberger in lane 1, Francesca Brint of Birmingham in 2, representing Great Britain at the World Juniors. In Tampere in Finland in 2018. Indoor lifetime best at the Cardiff Open this year. It was 2:38 until she completely eclipsed that with a 2:11 performance recently in Wales. But I think that gives a sense of some of these athletes don't get too many chances indoors over 800 metres, particularly Olivia Varay of Edinburgh, a noticeably improving athlete. '19 Scottish under-20 indoor champion. This is also her first year as an under-23. Isabel Ives, though, you expect to come through comfortably. Silver medalist indoors and out last year, both Sheffield and Bedford. Tamsin McGraw, though, the fastest in the heats. Of course, not too much you can take from that, but Sheffield Hallam from Bath. McGraw from Ives. So Brint is in third place, and then Olivia Varay, 2:09.49, her best, in fourth place. Shona Haston of Newcastle impressed in the heat. She is in fifth place with a bit of work to do here. And Freiburg over in sixth. 64.86. So the faster of the two semi-finals after 400 metres. McGraw not finding that much space there on the inside. She'll have to be a little bit patient. Izzy Ives has the clear run out front, though. That could well be important. Varay lining up as they hit the bell. 1:37.6. So Bath, Birmingham, Ives and Brint. Well, it's going to be so close who makes the top two out of these four, but they'll hope to make those two auto-qualifying spots. There's a decent chance with just the two semi-finals. Ives, though, deja vu as you were, leading out front from Brint. McGraw doesn't have the space again from the inside, and will Varay beat her to the line? It's going to be Ives, Brint, McGraw, and Varay 2:11.18. 2:11.21, the adjustment with the official time then. Could well be that those four do all make it through to the final, however, and it will be a good test then. Already raced each other once, and as I so often say, the 800 can be one of the hardest to qualify for, but once you make it to the final, it may be that anything could happen. Certainly it was the case, it appeared, at the World Championships last year in Doha. Some absolutely stacked heats, full of big names, and just making it through made the difference. Perhaps the hope for a better racer, a different style of race, come semi-final and then final time.
Well, next up is the Mascot Race.
Well, the Mascot Race comes up next, and something of an interesting quality, because just looking at the start list, and one of the mascots is down as anonymous, and well, anything, it will, if anything, it will be quite dramatic to watch. Rory the Lion of Birmingham, a common competitor. Dumyak the Dog from Stirling, Gus the Tiger of Glasgow, George the Gryphon from Leeds, Rooster from Student Roost, one of BUCS partners in this stream, along with Camp America. And outgoing. Well, if you're wondering what's happened, either you're seeing things or it's the BUCS mascot about to get underway. If you are worried, don't be. I can explain. We've got Rory the Lion there. Oh, that's a well-timed wave. I wonder if they'll all do that. Rooster from Student Roost. Student Roost. It's all about considering where you're going to live at uni next year. You can speak to accommodation experts. The team are here throughout the weekend with 50 properties across the UK and top-notch facilities to help you live your best student life, as you can see there on the back of the shirt. George the Gryphon from Leeds, Gus the Tiger from Glasgow, so looks like he's the Tiger, number 4 in the back. Strathosaurus there at the back, also on the inside. Dumyat the dog is the diminutive figure there, being overshadowed by the much taller mascots. And then Anglia Ruskin leads Beckett, and an anonymous mascot. So the mascots have got to hold on to their heads here, and that will be a challenge. So in various forms, we've got Birmingham Student Roost, Leeds, Glasgow, Strathclyde, Stirling, Anglia Ruskin and Leeds Beckett. So the officials just giving some instructions to these animals. Well, I remember a couple of years ago we saw a mascot in a morph suit doing constant dabs as he came through the start-finish line. But they're all some quite heavy costumes. You can see the bee there. As Roy the Lion gets a bit too excited. He's actually going to get a conduct warning for hugging the official. Rory the Lion having had some magic beans. Rory the Lion, Rooster, George the Gryphon, Gus the Tiger, Strathosaurus, Dumyat the dog, and Rory the Lion with some interesting tactics. He's going to gee up the crowd, and they're all holding on to their heads. Who can keep theirs? Dumyat the dog with that sort of streamlined suit faring much better. Strathosaurus shaking from side to side with a big smile on his face, but Dumyat the dog looking behind and crosses the line backwards. A buzzing bee in second place, and the heads all come off now. But Dumyat the dog of Stirling, well, it's a clever choice of mascot, as Rory the Lion shows that he has no understanding of how athletics works. Well, Rory still keen to finish the race and get a good time here. There's no final to be qualifying for, so it's a bizarre lap of honour, but not challenged by any other mascots here. Rory the Lion is going to come home last. A tackle there from Victorious Dog. And suddenly his identity is revealed. Time for a bath, I should think, after the sweat of wearing those mascot costumes during the race. So we've got the second Mascot Race, if that wasn't enough excitement for you. Brian the Lion will go in this one. Percy the Penguin of Nightline, the student advice service. Lenny the Liver Bird from Liverpool. And Gloucestershire, and then mascots from Oxford, Chester, Leicester and Sunderland. It's a rather shocked looking Percy the Penguin there. Remember last year there was a mascot, or in previous years, that looked like a town crier. It was a person in a person costume with a very weird facial expression. Percy the Penguin looks pretty starstruck to be in such celebrous company. I think that might be Glossy the Goat of Gloucestershire. Brian the Lion, I reckon, is on the inside. Then Percy the Penguin of Nightline. That's Lenny the Liver Bird in blue. Glossy the Goat. So Oxford, Chester, Leicester and Sunderland completing the lineup. Well, for the 5th time in BUCS Nationals history, Brian the Lion, the BUCS mascot, is hosting a 200-metre mascot fancy dress race. This year it's actually in aid of the Dan Porter Foundation. All universities are eligible to enter, and they have done so. Yep, so we have had 17 in total. So that donation going towards the Dan Porter Foundation. So you can see that some thought has gone into matching the university up with a mascot based on alliteration in terms of Glossy the Goat, or in the case of the Liver Bird, something that is associated with Liverpool historically and the football team as well, or just pure mystery and a connection that's impossible to decipher. So underway then, and the Liver Bird with his flapping wings almost getting into the face of those behind. Brian the Lion, not with particularly good leg speed. It's the bizarre Morph Suit Man as Brian the Lion takes a tumble. Morph Suit Man tries to help him to the finish, and as a result, Lenny the Liver Bird from Liverpool has no challenge on his hands. Sensational stuff, just like in the Premier League. The Liver Bird out front in the BUCS mascot race from Glossy the Goat. We've even got a time, looks to be 33.50. Well, wondered whether there would be a bit of a battle on our hands after the first 50 metres, but Brian the Lion's tumble, but a bit of a change in proceeding. Let's have a look. So early in the race here, you've got the Black Cat from Sunderland, an almighty trip. I think that's because visibility is low out there. It's like a motorway in the fog. Black Cat drifting to the outside and geeing up the crowd as Brian the Liar and the bizarre Oxford morph suit man. I wonder whether he had a sort of weird dab seizure across the line. No, not this time. Looks like a pair of weird swimming goggles on as well.
Entry is £5 in advance for events and £6 on the day. The track events include 400 metre hurdles, 1,500 metres, 100 metres, then swimming steeplechase, 200 and 5,000 metres, and in the field high jump.
Well, we're bringing you this BUCS Athletics Indoor Championship session by session, and this is the end of the third session, live on YouTube and Facebook, and we will momentarily restart the stream with session 4 in a moment's time, and the next race is not for another 15 minutes.